Hey guys, welcome to the close. Couple hours left in the week. What a day it's been. Back to the upside, or at least we're trying to get back to the upside here. Still in negative territory coming off, if you remember the jobs report this morning, kind of in line to slightly lower on that note out at 8:30 this morning. Let's have a look at where we are at heading into the final couple hours here. 0.3 for the S&P, the Dow 0.2, 0.7 the NASDAQ leading. Ever so slightly red, though. I mean, off the lows and nicely off the lows overall. Crude oil down a full percent to wrap up a very, very volatile week. Frank Caberna from the Small Exchange going to join us a little bit later on. We'll talk to him about another volatile week in a lot of these markets, including the inversion in the yield, 2 and 10 year inverting. 5% there. You can see for Ethereum leading the way for cryptos, 1.54. Bitcoin, there's the board for the S&P 500 right now. It's the tech sector leading the way to the downside. There is a little bit of positivity here in software names, industrial stocks also to the downside today. All the transportation names getting hit. Capital goods, though, some positivity coming through. There is a little bit of positivity to talk about. Real estate stocks are higher. Healthcare stocks are higher. Pharmaceuticals leading. Energy and utilities holding on to a bit of a gain here to wrap up the week, even with crude oil, as we saw there, down a full percent. Remember when we started the day, there was a bunch of positivity surrounding some Chinese news coming through. PDD, Baidu, both up nicely, 5 and 6.5% on that note, suggesting that Chinese regulators may just open the books and say, here you go for the SEC. So these ADRs having a nice day. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about NIO. We'll talk about XPeng as well off of delivery numbers out this morning. Just see Lucid here down 4% today for Lucid, speaking of EV makers. So welcome to a Friday afternoon. Hope you're doing well. It is the first day of a brand new quarter and the first day of a month. So that means it's Friday too? Weird. I don't know why. It seems strange on a Friday. Hope you're doing well this afternoon, guys. We're going to get into what we were talking about a little bit this morning in the pre-market. Heading into the open, join us every day at 8:30. We're on for an hour in the pre-market. We get you set for the open. Neil's going to revisit one of those ideas we had this morning. Here comes Neil.
Yes, sir. We're going to talk a little GameStop today, and it is not an April Fool's joke. GameStop went only down, and I went only long. And the reality is sometimes you're going to have it wrong. And the question becomes, how do you manage the trade? Do you exacerbate the situation? And what can you do to learn from the experience? Now, I remember when I was only short DWAC on day 2, 27 out of 30 scalp trades were to the short side that day. And this was not the same, but it's very similar. Now, first, we'll always go to the higher time frame. And I purposefully did something here where I left some of the lines I had in the chart from previously, just so you can see when I added some today that's a little bit jumbled up. And I think sometimes that can give you that confusion. A little bit looking at too much and finding too many levels when you want to be in one direction. They had the news of the potential split with the shareholder vote for additional shares, right? So there is a positive catalyst, and you want to expose yourself to the upside when the meme names do go. So that's the reason for the bias. Probably nothing too terribly wrong with that, but as we test in the post-market on that announcement for the news, you get a rejection of 200. So you had a just absolutely colossal rejection of 200 the day before. You then had the positive catalyst, reject the 200 level, and come back in the next day consolidating lower. We'll get to the short idea at some point here, but I'm looking at probably too many levels. I liked the previous high of 185 in the consolidation. It's a nice round number for you as well. 180 was a much more secure level as well. And then from there, 75 stands out as obvious. Got that one channeled here back and forth. And then from there, 165. Of those levels, probably the only ones that mattered today, if you really take a look at on the downward path, 180, 165. You could make an argument for 175 in there if you could. But the first thing first, double top rejection of a level like $200. Okay? You then have a failure to break out at the open. That sets up for a pop and fade trade. That is mistake number one. You do not, that's a setup that I usually am going to take to short until it's wrong, right? So thinking initially long when you have sort of one of your A+ setups to the short side, fail, breakdown off of a double top, that is a short setup. It's try the short until it proves you wrong. I do not do that. Instead, I'm thinking dip buy at every single one of those levels. 85, stop out. 80 breaks up here and actually starts working for me. And this is where it gets hairy because this is a chance to get the other direction of the trade, but it starts to work. We're up, we're thinking, okay, we take half out. It's about to make that run to 200. As a matter of fact, I'm not going to get anything else until 87 to 88. It doesn't even get there. It flushes, we get stopped out. And I'm like, that is a wick bottom. That's holding the next level again. We'll just take the same one. That is nice little wick bottom. We're rejecting. It's going to work. Another scalp trade that once again fails. At this point, the only thing that we're doing well is sticking to our stop levels, right? So we're at least limiting the losses on the way down here because I'm not really holding anything through. Same thing happens at 75. It's in, starts to work, goes back down, and then immediately rejects the level once we pick up the rest of our shares at 75. Same setup as that we got tricked on before at 180, wick bottom, take the break of the level above. This is the problem with having too many levels because if you have 4 or 5 levels on the way down, you're going to get both bounce trades that you like, you're going to get false breaks that you like, everything. I'm just taking them all and then stopping out on the way down. At least we're not holding. When it finally breaks the absolute low, we do get the 165 bottom, which is essentially the full retracement. 165 was the biggest level back down there. So when if I was short the stock, that's where your out would be. So it's probably, if I was doing things correctly, looking for a short until it's not, that would be the first place I was thinking about a long trade. So I end up getting this long because obviously I'm just going to end up with a long trade at some point that works. Let's be real. Either goes down to oblivion or eventually one of these levels is going to hold and I'm going to get a pretty decent scalp trade. At this point, it gets back up like $6 or $7 and you can say it gets to VWAP. Fair enough, we take almost all of it out. We get close enough to positive, but that's more just you keep fighting. It should have been a short trade. I do try the reload a couple of times here off that 170 level. You can see it dump. Once again, we just take our stop. And then again, they're at 165. That's the last ditch. I don't even have anything that I'm looking at. The moral of the story is if you have a setup or a set of conditions that indicates to you that a trade should be in a certain direction, even if you don't like that direction that day, you might not want to be going all in the other direction. And that's what happened. I don't always short meme stocks, but that was a double top at 200. It was a failure to break the high at the open. That's a short till it's not. If it broke the top and I lose on a short, I don't mind that because I do that every single day. This time I decided to take about 1 million long trades and lose. Thankfully, we took every single stop when they were there, but that's about the only thing we did well today was get out when we were wrong. We were just wrong on too many different levels.
So the market fades. The split news for GME. It was top of the list this morning on the watch list that we send out in the pre-market before we come on at 8:30. That is the link if you're looking for the watch list, guys. Miss V is going to join me in a second, and she will have that for you in the chat if you are interested. So this happened while we were gone, in between the morning and the afternoon here, obviously. The House passing this bill to legalize marijuana in the U.S. Obviously, there's still a few steps this is going to have to go through. It's going to have to go to the Senate, and then it's going to have to end up on Joe Biden's desk for a signature before it becomes a law. But all of these very, very active this afternoon. The price action, however, right after this happened was pretty interesting. They end up selling the news, guys.
Yeah, I mean, no surprise there. I mean, we talked about what would happen when the cannabis bill finally hit there. We knew it was going to pass, so I don't feel like there was really any surprise there. It's not going to get through the Senate. We already saw some Democrats go against it, and we know there's states that aren't going to support this. So, I don't know when it's going to happen, and honestly, these things are dead money. Like, we've talked about that over and over again. What you got to do is play this, and if you did it, then that's great, and now you get that bump down. I expect it to retrace right back in. I mean, unless something happens here where, I don't know, I don't even know what, really. I guess it's just going to get to the Senate, and we'll find out where we go from that. But I don't know. It's a big move up there on just the reading of the bill. Today, obviously, you see that pass. And then the price action sort of tells you everything. And I say all the time that the market doesn't lie, really, when it comes to these kind of stocks. Like, if this was really great news, then why would we be down on the day? I mean, it's one of those things where you sell the rumor, or in this situation, buy the rumor, sell the news. So, I mean, there it goes to the downside. Tilray just keeps on moving there. CGC, probably the exact same thing. And yeah, I'm just not excited about it. You know, we had seen this before. You know, you get that hope up that, hey, maybe it's about time for these stocks to start to run. But there's CGC as well, right back down in, right near the low of the day one more time. So yeah, this is what it looks like on a daily chart for Canopy. So unless you're able to get long down here and somehow get out at 9, that's a 50% return. But if you've been holding the bag this whole time, then you know that you have much more than 50% of losses. So just watch out about these names. I feel like we retrace all the way back down in. I was at one point, a pretty decent sized investor in these. I'm out of most of them, but yeah, still holding the bag on CGC and Tilray and maybe a few other small ones. But these are my two big ones. And honestly, today, some Aurora Cannabis, but that name's been disgusting. So all the way to the downside, I don't know. I don't see any relief here in that bill passing. And obviously, like we say with ball don't lie, price action don't lie. And honestly, shout out to Rasheed Wallace, apparently.
Rasheed. Oh, I'm sure he was paying attention. Anyways, look, it was worth watching the vote. I had it up on C-SPAN because there was something that could have happened that I think would have been interesting, and that would have been, because you expect it. It's like, okay, it's going to pass in the House, and it's going to get rejected in the Senate. Had it rejected in the House, I feel like, as you saw the pullback now, it would have been, we'd be through support already on Tilray. And that's what I was watching for. So there was pretty much a no-trade event. I mean, I scalped Sundial for, I just tried to get in front of a big size at 72 and lost a half a cent there. But there was really nothing to do. What I'm looking at now for Tilray, maybe this will be a next week kind of thing, who knows, is this 750. It was the high when it bounced off the bottom the first time. It has been support here before, pretty much almost the entire week. There was one break last Friday. We got down to 725. But for the most part, you've managed to hold this gap, and we're right on those lows as we speak today. So that's worth watching. Maybe it doesn't break that today. But obviously that's the top end of the channel. But the only thing bullish is it's held this support level. So I mean, it's worth looking out at this one. But yeah, it would have been more interesting if it didn't get through the House. I think you would have seen more trading action for this afternoon.
I was just looking at this TKAT NFT names catching a bid here this afternoon. There was a story earlier. I'm not sure, OpenSeas. I don't know if you guys are familiar with OpenSeas, apparently in the NFT space, but apparently they have now enabled Apple Pay to pay for NFTs. But TCAT, among other NFT names, catching a bid here, guys, on the ability now, it would seem, to buy NFTs through Apple Pay.
Yeah, no, I'm very familiar. It's OpenSea, so SEA, so OpenSea, and that's where it's a marketplace for NFTs. So you can go there, like that's where I buy and sell my Wall Street Bull, for example, and that's where you go to buy basically all the bigger, well, I mean, not all of them, but it's one of the first names there to go. And I think that they're trying to raise money. They've actually raised a lot of money, so we'll see if they go public at some point, OpenSea. But again, if you're going to look at TKAT, oops, that's an AM, right? Yes, yeah. It is. We can watch out for this. Look, I think, there it goes. Yeah, let's go Facebook right now to the upside, hopefully. All right, let's let this load. But anyways, I believe in the NFT space. I don't think it's as crazy as everybody thinks, buy these NFTs, get rich quick kind of thing. But, we've seen Bored Apes. We've seen them hold their value. I like the Wall Street Bull that I'm in. My wife just sold some sort of a NFL all-day thing for like $800 yesterday, and that was ridiculous as well. So I got her involved in this. But yeah, it's Zed horses, things like that. So you know what? It's just one of those fun things. I don't know if you're going to get rich, like I just said, off any of that, but it's a fun little spot. It's OpenSea, it's good. And any talk about NFTs are going to get some of these names going. We have Playboy as well. That's a big one. I don't know exactly anything about TKAT, but to come. But if that, if that keeps going to the upside there on NFT news, then I do like it. But you've seen it already move. This at one point was one of those meme stocks that was just a super low float, like ripped up here right when it came to market. And then since then, it's just been absolutely destroyed all the way down to the downside. So this is probably another one of those names where there's a lot of traders holding the bag. And then today you get a little relief up 30%. Like, it looks crazy on the chart, like 30% up, but you know, it's a nice move up from that $2 spot. If you want to try to hold it, make case it gets squeezed, and that's that. But right now I'm going to stick with the biggest and the baddest of them all for me, and that's going to be Facebook as we continue to ride this long right now. We've been trading it a lot here today, kind of just, you know, taking shares on these dips, finding strong names, and here goes Facebook in the money, 50 cents right here.
It feels like every single, I don't know if TKT is going to be the same thing, but every stock I look at that has made that last little push, breaking out here, has made these wick-offs and then just straight rejections. And $3 is, it's more of a psychological level than anything, because the last time it was here, it tried to bounce around and then just fell away. It never got to $3 back on Friday. So it feels like there's a little bit of room for it to still go, but that's what you call like a fail break wick top through 3 even, and that sets up for a short. I haven't paid for shorts, and right now Longeveron's happening very similarly, so I don't know if TKT is going to be the one I go to. It even has like a 4-cent spread, 3-cent spread, 3 or 4 every now and then on a stock doing 7 million. That's not ideal. It's too cheap to have that little liquidity up here. So I never like that when I see it. If you see something it's supposed to be in play and then it doesn't have a 1-cent spread on a very cheap stock. That'd be the equivalent of, you know, like imagine if Microsoft had $1 spread on it when you were trying to trade, or it's just a little bit too much. Like that's literally the equivalent there, and you got to think of it in those terms. If it's in play, why would Microsoft ever have that? Like I would expect to see that on like a thin $300 stock. I mean, nothing's coming to mind, like maybe Home Depot with the open or something, but I'm not even sure if it's at that price anymore. But I'm going to stay away from TKAT. Maybe if it makes a few spikes up, it'll be worth it. But just, I know we're not going to necessarily talk about Longeveron, so I do want to come here. I tried a long, started to work, reloaded, and got stopped out. I have not touched it since because it didn't bounce where I wanted it to at 14. But there was a huge battle. If you're watching this in the morning at the open, it was mesmerizing because in the pre-market it would try to take 16 over and over again, couldn't do it. It then broke, tried so many times to break out of here at 16 even. And then when it finally got above 1650, it was one of the fastest rug pulls I've ever seen. You couldn't get a thing to the short side. I was sitting there staring, watching it for that turn. It never happened. And now you're getting the same battle here at 16. My first look is to think that it could pull the rug one more time.
Okay, we were talking chipmakers in the pre-market this morning and some relative weakness over the past couple of days. We've seen a couple of downgrades and price target changes this week to the downside overall in chipmakers. We're just noticing, I mean, we were saying, you know, the market trying to bounce here, but AMD not doing much, still down 2% here, but holding 106.5.
Yeah, we've been, I switched over to a 5-minute chart, but I guess maybe a 1-minute chart is a little bit better. All we've been doing, oh no, we have this bad wick there. Oh, darn it, I have to get rid of this at 155. But really, hold on a second, bear with me. All we've been doing is selling this to the downside 155. Oh yeah, there it is, 118, yeah, right. 106.90. I just got to fix this and it'll look a little bit better. Or not, okay? But anyways, we've been selling AMD. Let me go to a 1-minute chart right now and see if that looks a little bit better. No, it doesn't. Okay, I really got to fix this one. Were you shorting anything today or selling anything?
I'll go to NVIDIA and I'll let you fix that one for sure. Like it bears watching because like that was like scalps. We talk about scalp trading a lot, I think. And sometimes maybe we sort of understate what it means, but in that particular case, I think it's a good example. But NVIDIA was one idea that when it's a key level, remember, that's something that you should be willing to reverse. And it's very similar to GameStop, coming in and thinking only one direction off of key prices. Like that's just, it can't be the way that you go in there. There's nothing wrong with having a bias because it can simplify your trading. But this was pretty obvious. When you look at levels like this multi-day support at 272, it was a great long. Twice, it was a great long. And then it holds it in the dump off in the close yesterday, which I think we all witnessed was epic, right? But 72 comes in and immediately gets broken. And from that point, I get in and get out, lose like 20 or 30 cents or whatever it was, but not even thinking about the gap fill. And it goes right into the next level. And then what do I do again? At 66, which is the next level down, I'm just long in and out. I mean, the only thing, again, like GameStop was getting in and out, and not really taking any pain. But there's a short there. Once it broke that, you've got an entire $6 gap that is playable in that range, and I didn't make a single trade. Now, obviously, I can sit here and say, there was a bounce trade that I could have been stubborn with. Yeah, but it then even tests lower than that. So the play was, once it breaks that shelf, when you've got levels like that, you've got to think about it's in new territory. There's a better, you'd rather lose short when you're taking something like that when it's going into new territory. There's just more room for it to go. You're momentum trading. And when you break levels like that, the momentum needs to be to the downside. So like that's the example. I didn't short it. I got out, fine, fair enough, but that needs to be a reversal. It's one of these days where I'm sort of kicking myself. It's like one win, one loss, but if I look at the times that I lost, there were so easily things that I could have done so quickly to maybe make a different decision there, because I usually will take a trade like that to the short side 10 times out of 10. I just wasn't seeing it on NVIDIA. I can't even tell you why.
Yeah, so we actually just switched up our game plan on this name, right? As soon as we notice, and again, I'm going to be keeping going back to this, and like that's why I'm most pissed off about my AMC and GME today, because didn't really trade price action, just traded like what I thought was going to happen to the upside, and that didn't happen. So today, obviously, I'm a big bull for all stocks, and including AMD. But you could see here today, as soon as, and I was just saying, like even to my kid here, like how ridiculous it is how many outs I have here. But again, like I was using shares, hitting it off this 50 period. Every single time AMD would pop, all these purples are shorts, and it's just ridiculous. Like I have like 100 fills on this thing. But again, we got out of the way. Okay, I see you. Now Facebook $1 in the money and starting to go, so that's definitely working out for me now. But we got out of the way as soon as we realized that AMD, obviously today, much weaker than the market. You see the big pull down here. We saw yesterday AMD. We saw Micron as well. So I instantly switched over to a short. And then, yeah, it does look kind of ridiculous. But all these pops, man, we got in, we got out. And the fact that I scalp them out means that we can reload. And honestly, it's like, it's part of my strategy. But like when I get some of these key hits here, like this never would have gone against me. This trade right here about 12.30, this would not have gone against me until right here, 130. So it's one of those things where, instead of like reloading, which is fine, I made money on the reloads every time, but I'm like, how can I just hold it for these bottoms? But again, if I don't know they're going there, then it becomes pretty tough to do that. So anyways, we made a lot of money back on AMD. AMD's my #1 stock. It might not look like it from all this, but like I had, nice amount of shares here, which is why I'm getting them out. But AMD continues to print for me. I'm debating the short right now again, guys. Like it's still up, down that 2%. It's making a nice move upside. The only problem is I don't want to short when the market's all the way up here. If you notice when I was shorting AMD, the market was down, hovering near these 50 periods, right? So it kept hitting and coming back down. Once the market sort of gave it up and started going back to the upside right here, that's when I stopped shorting AMD. So no more shorts on AMD, just longs on names that I figure are stronger than the market, which is Facebook, up 1%. So we've been hitting longs here on Facebook. So that's been a good one for us. And we'll continue to hold our long here in FB.
All right, let's go to Chinese stocks. We got the EV delivery numbers today that were, for the most part, better than expected. We also got better than expected regulatory news in the sense that Chinese regulators saying they're essentially going to open the books for the SEC and say, here you go, to satisfy some auditing questioning from the SEC and delisting issues. But a lot of these have given, a lot of the gains back. So we had a huge gap up in Alibaba, just looking at 1.7%, trying to make a day lower right now. If you missed it again, this news this morning, Bloomberg reporting, guys, that they're going to give full access to auditing reports as soon as mid this year to come.
Yeah, we were saying Alibaba, Pinduoduo, I forgot all about. It happens today, man. Like just one of those. And this is the thing about the meme stocks, and this is true, right? When you're a day trader, everybody wants to trade them because you see so much opportunity. But it is so easy to get distracted because Rivian was gigantic this morning. Baba had huge opportunities. Didi, Baidu, all of these other things that normally that's what we'd be focused on. That focus went into the meme stocks. And it is what it is. Before we go on to that, I'm going to do a little floss off because Longeveron, it did that fail at 16. And that's one of those, if you were watching it at 16 this morning, I doubt you'd be long that high. That's all I got to say. I don't think anybody that was watching the open on Longeveron would have taken that long up here. Maybe you're holding a long, but you wouldn't have taken it. My last out is likely to be off VWAP if it bounces there. But at least I managed to get half of Xpeng right. And the half I always like is when it's gapping up, and I'll go to the 15 because this is where we traded. This is what we're looking off of. You've got this nice hard top at 30 even that got broken once, and then off of 28, you're gapping up on delivery numbers that were fantastic. Has a history of selling the news on those delivery numbers, and it did the patented. This is what GameStop did too, where it's like gap up, fail to break, and you just simply short the failure. The mistake that got made here was when the market started bouncing. I did have some longs. I kind of wanted the market to go up. I think that's part of it, but who knows? I then reloaded the trade, missing it at 29 cents. I missed that curl and pay down to 29.50. And the problem with shorting it where you don't want to, it's called anchoring, right? You start thinking about the price that you're in instead of the move, instead of the trade. And so I anchored myself to this price below VWAP, starts to work, and then when it fails at a lower high and puts in a higher low, it's like, no, the trend's still to the downside. It puts in this higher low, and I'm like, ah, crap, just get out flat, man. It's going, it's going to wedge up. That's anchoring to that price. If I short it here where I like it, I'm looking reload here. I'm looking reload here. So sometimes it's going to happen to you see it flush the rest of the way. And the other side of that trade was, this I knew was working because at the same time, also on delivery numbers, NEO was strong, and Xpeng couldn't break the upside. So it's a setup I love. It's a setup at least we took, but if you miss that fill here, sometimes you just got to not take that trade and only get it at the prices you want. I wanted it off that lower high. I took it below VWAP, which was a bit of a mistake. Overall, the trade works out, but it's about getting better, right?
Yeah, for sure. Brad busting a nut over there over something. I don't know what he's doing. He's very, very excited about something he's watching. Okay, we are now reloaded, so we'll do that. I don't know why, but there we go. We are now reloaded. Let's see if we can't have some of these again to the upside here as we took Facebook one more time on the strength of the stock. It came back into VWAP, or sorry, the 50 period, and we're going to see if it can come back up now to VWAP. So again, another little long there at 17 or 12 or whatever my price, 13, sorry. And then out some 28s and out some 38s there. And now we'll see if it can go back up to the upside. But what were we talking about? Oh yeah, my frustrating stock of the day. If you guys remember me trading earlier, guys, it was Alibaba. And remember I said to you, there's something wrong with this. I could smell what the rock is cooking on this one. And honestly, Alibaba, remember we were long. We talked about, oh my God, there's the 114 there. And I was like, no, we don't want that name. And then look at Alibaba the rest of the day. Like this is, I'm ruining it because this is going to be my frustrating stock of the day here. Because honestly, like should have had this name. Didn't have it, and yeah, we should have had the short, especially on that break right there. And we'd probably, I don't think we'd still be in it, but you'd see a hell of a lot of ticks in here because that was a good trade to break through 114. And yeah, the rest, as they say, is history for Alibaba, down to the downside. Great news today for them, but again, even a 2% bump isn't bad into a red tape. So I like Alibaba here, but unfortunately, we smelled that there was something wrong with that move this morning. And I just got out of my longs, which is fine. Alibaba's a positive stock for me today. There's, I only have two red stocks, man. It's going to be AMC and it's going to be GME. That's it. We were able to get out of the way on NEO as well. I tried a little bit of a long here down at the bottom on NIO since we're talking to some of these Chinese names, but that really hasn't worked. I don't know about pushing the bottom on NEO, but that's something else. 2150 could come into play, but we're just sticking with the gang because right now Facebook gang is going to the upside, and we'll see if it can go. Look at the futures starting to go back up. Unlike yesterday, man, hopefully we get a little bit of a rally into the close, and we're going to pay attention for those imbalance numbers. Remember, first of the month, Wake up. It's the first of the month. But also, you can get some big moves at the imbalance, is what I'm trying to say, as we go back to the hip-hop roots. Remember, I'm from the streets of Brampton. So as you can see, I've got the Ice Cube on there. And if you believe that, then I got some magic beans. What?
That's the Ice Cube from Friday.
Friday.
Actually, you know what's hilarious?
Today was not a good day on meme stocks.
No, I'm not making this up, but on Friday, Chris Tucker is wearing a navy blue T-shirt the whole time on that Friday, and so we're kind of
matching.
But
Chris Tucker, I don't think he ain't wearing no golf shirt home.
No, definitely not.
On that one.
I said it was close, man. I didn't say.
Yeah. Anyways, we're all
Fahad
good.
knows what's
yeah,
up.
Fahad's got this next Friday. Not as good as the original Friday. So
Mike Epps is funny, but he's not Chris Tucker, and it's not his fault.
it's a story.
There was no way Mike Epps was going to be able to win there.
And Yahoo, because there goes Facebook. One more out as we approach near VWAP. Miss V, what up?
Hey guys, we've got a super chat from John Borges. Neil, thank you for the support line on Micron. John, thank you so much for a super chat. I hope you're having a profitable day as the rest of you guys. And remind you, please support the community, like this video, and now let's go to Brandon.
All right, let's continue along. Tesla was on the list this morning. We were talking about some delivery numbers, Chinese delivery numbers. Tesla doing Tesla things, though. They tend to work on their own schedule. A lot of people were expecting Tesla delivery numbers to be out today. Hasn't happened yet, so we may or may not get them. But interesting chart to show you here, guys. On a year-over-year basis, so this is ahead of, they're saying, quarterly delivery numbers, but this is a projection. So Q1 2022, this goes all the way back to 2016. So that's year-over-year Q1 specifically gains for Tesla deliveries.
That overhead shot. All I see with that shot. At least I have my hair cut, because if I had the hair grown a bit more, we were talking about this before, that you guys would just be looking at how
as
it's
we
thinning.
balled out. This is going to be a bad look. So we will be getting rid of that shot. Probably Monday. So enjoy it for today.
Yeah, you laugh all you want.
Enjoy the shot for today, but a lot of work was done.
I see what's up.
And maybe for no reason.
Yeah, keep throwing it up there. First of all, John, you know what? I'm glad you sent the super chat in, and you know what? I'm even more glad that you called out the support there, because you're not even going to see a trade on Micron. I went over to NVIDIA, and it's one of those things where I'm probably going to say it 4 more times today, and apologize in advance for that. But the opportunity cost of me trading GameStop for how many executions? For 48 executions on GameStop, and probably 7 separate trades, if not 8. The opportunity cost was missing out on some things that were definitely better. And some of the chip plays were certainly better than that. Now, Tesla, it's not broken out of this range. Spoiler alert, the delivery numbers are going to be fantastic. They're going to make everything that you saw out of the Chinese delivery numbers look like garbage. But ultimately, Tesla has not broken out of its range today. There was a nice wick bottom, but I was looking for 1050 to 1040, that channel here, the top of 1040, that 1050 support from, I guess, the beginning of the week, and you never really saw that. So it didn't dip far enough to get that fill. And the momentum to the downside in the morning was strong enough that it felt like you wanted to get your price or no price. And until Tesla tests that, or tests 1100, I think I will be sitting it out. Got to wait for the key prices.
Okay, there it is again, man. Yeah, Superman is in the building. Look at Facebook. We just took this trade for you. You guys hopefully had it with me. We talked about that. We talked about it while at 2 o'clock was the first trade we took, and then we took it again on a dip back down into VWAP at 2:30. And there it is right now, Facebook, stronger than you may have thought. To the upside right now goes Facebook as that's continuing to run up. And I got to do a better job, honestly, of holding these things, because like I said the same thing about AMD, and oh my God, here it goes now. Wow, $1 in the money. That would have been like real nice, man. We could have got like back to Greensville today after screwing up so much on GME and A. I mean, I didn't screw up. I just, going the wrong way, I guess, is screwing up. But there it is, a nice little move back up to the upside here for Facebook as that continues to scream. I bought Tesla today. I've already talked about that. 1070 level. It's not like it's any good right now, but it did have a dip down. It did touch 1100 again. I think Tesla takes out 1250, and I don't even think we need to talk about it because it will happen, and it probably happens before their next report. And if the report's any good, then it takes out 1300, and then you're going to see 16, 17, 18, and the rest is history for Tesla. And I'm not, I just really feel like the last time they announced a split, we saw it went 80% in 1 month. Obviously, that's not going to be happening right now. There's a few different things that work. That was the first time it was split. There was also inclusion into the S&P, into the NASDAQ, things like that helped rally that move as well. So it's not like that's the only reason why it went up, but I feel like offering a dividend, doing things like that, you are going to see some nice upside here for Tesla, and I just think it's a matter of time. However, it still is outpacing the market. What happens to Tesla Tesla the day the NASDAQ is up 2%, something like that. Is that the day that Tesla goes up $100 straight? I mean, let's wait to see. But I like Tesla going for a long-term spot here. And it's not that I'm like a huge Tesla fanboy. It's just the stock is working. When you look at it on a daily chart, there's a lot of names that are well below 200-period moving averages and whatnot. And Tesla's just not one of those. It's working. It continues to do that. And I'm excited for the future of TSLA.
Let's talk some Apple here before we get into some frustrations from this morning, because Apple was pretty quiet today, really. I mean, it could have been obviously a lot worse, coming back into pretty clear levels on the daily chart. But JP Morgan thinks it might be overdone because they have removed Apple from their quote unquote focus list, whatever that would be.
Focus list, conviction list. The thing about that is you understand, like, there's so many different analysts out there, and even within one shop, there's going to be differences of opinion and whatnot. And it could just simply mean, look at the ridiculous run it's been on. We're not bullish for the rest of the year because of the Fed or because of the economy, whatever it might be, and then look at how strong it's gotten. Like, it's actually not an unreasonable thing to say that when you've had one of the strongest runs and one of the strongest stocks ever, if you were to be bearish on the market, let's say for the next 6 months, would you be thinking that Apple's going to take the high when it just put in that move? So I don't know. Sometimes we might overthink these things a little bit too much. But it felt like, yesterday was the end of the month and you had the imbalances. You had those big sells and nothing had come up more than Apple, and nothing got hit strong further than Apple. But that lower high, that 177, put in that monster rejection there, and then today it put in the rejection of this high at 175. You've seen it bounce now off of, hey, look at that, the weak support has managed to bounce, and it looks like we're going to have a test. Well, maybe we will. A test of that 175 level. If that can start to come in, I think that's the one to watch. It was previous resistance. If you go back to late last week and on the first day of the week here, Monday, so if we get to that price, I think the market could start to think about turning around. So that's what I'm watching for Apple specifically, but I'm likely to stick to some of these moves. Are pretty interesting to me, like Green Age is going all over the place, Longeveron, and I'm also CYRN's pretty much gone at this point, and TKAT that Brennan brought to you is also moving. And when I'm trading those, that tends to be the focus because they move pretty quick there. That TKAT, I thought, was going to be dead and start falling at that 3. Well, there's 150,000 shares in the bid at 310 that seems to think otherwise.
Yeah, so look, I talked about this earlier with Apple, and I think that you're going to see relative weakness in Apple because of the fact that China's shut down. And I mean, Apple is the only real big cap tech that we talked about with FANG and things like that, that has been able to penetrate through China. I mean, there's rules about Google operating over there with YouTube. They don't have Facebook. They don't have Instagram, WhatsApp, things like that. But they sure as hell do support their Apple products. I mean, Apple, the iPhone is the #1 selling phone, #1 selling digital watch over there in China, and we already know the population. And when they're not able to walk around in malls and things like that, and all those stores are simply shut down, it's not going to be good. I don't know if that's going to necessarily affect Apple's numbers, but that's definitely hurting the stock. We've seen it tick down the last couple of days. But every time, this happens to Apple all the time, man. Like, every time you get near highs, we get a little bit of a retracement, then a retest back. I mean, we had 12 straight up days for Apple. 12 straight up days for Apple. So, I mean, the fact that it's pulling back, it's kind of a hold your beer, hold my beer, hold whoever's beer you want moment here, because I believe Apple's going right back up to the upside again. And cue the, this guy's an Apple fanboy. But I mean, it is what it is. Honestly, it's 10% of the NASDAQ 100. It's 7% of the S&P 500. So if I think the market's going to go to the upside, then you better just buy Apple. And I think that, what I was talking about with Tesla is not that like the levels that Tesla's at right now are like all-time amazing buys. I mean, we were just at 750, guys, of Apple. So, I mean, of Tesla, right down here. And then it had what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 days later, you're up to $1,000. That's 25% in 8 days, right? And now you're kind of near these tops. I want to buy more when Tesla falls down. I don't know if this is going to be the best buying opportunity, but I'm going to start doing that today. I'm already long, way back in. This is new money, trying to put new money to work right now, and I like it for Tesla. And to be honest with you, I think Apple can pull back a little bit. Tesla's suffering the same problem. Their Shanghai plant, We talked about that already. We showed it. It was firing off like 30 cars a minute, not a minute, 30 cars every 30 minutes. A car a minute is what I'm trying to get at there. I think it might have even been more than that on that drone look. So when they're shut down and things aren't firing off over there, yeah, Tesla's going to have a little bit of a problem. But hey, I feel like all this gets resolved. I don't know if it's the 6th wave, 7th wave, 8th wave. I don't know what's going on over there in China, but eventually it'll reopen back up, and then we can start talking. And I don't even mind to talk, to our guests about this as well. I feel like China being shut down has sort of, stymied these futures a little bit. We're not operating at full capacity right here.
Definitely a lot of question marks remain as far as COVID is concerned globally. We'll get Frank's opinion on that as well. Anyone watching this Vine? I just saw Vine. This one has given us a squeeze before. We went from 4 to 9, if you remember, just after this thing came into market. So this just popped up on some decent volume, but immediately died off. So it heads up on VINE, a wine stock on a Friday afternoon. Let's talk about frustrating stocks. It was one of those days we had a laundry list of individual names to look at in the pre-market, so definitely had to have a plan ready.
Well, I don't know if you wanted to go, but I just got into TKT, so I'm going to quickly say this before I go into that one. The first leg was off of this level here at about 315. It stopped out. There's also a big size buyer that showed up a couple of times. They're now gone, but this second wick high at 335 is the next area. I'm giving it to the high of the day here. I really don't want it breaking further out because 350 does loom. So going to have tight stops because that's essentially the way that I want to play this. The frustrating stock is, I talked about GameStop and I already showed you NVIDIA, so there's no point going over these. And I just feel like I could tell you all about sort of a firm as well. I'm going to go over to greenage. And a lot of times it's not about whether it works or not, because at the end of the day, it'll end up being a stock that I'm up on. It's more just, now of course there's like missing data in my chart. That's always fun. But it's more along the lines of watch the volume on greenage. I always talk about volume being important, right? So, okay, sure, I adhere to your stop, fine. The next level up, and I go to the higher time frame to show that I liked all these levels, and that's great. 1130, that started working back into 11, then got supported, it broke back out, stopped out through the high, shorted off the high at 1150, took a very tight stop out there, took a failed break. When it failed break through 50, got right back into it, shorted that level, stopped it out almost instantly, got a pop into 12 even, that failed, and we shorted it, that started to work, and then it did what it did, which is your failed breakout at 12 even, and then the reversal. But what's the other thing that you can notice about this? So it obviously, look, when this happens, I'm not really taking any hits that are more than like 5-10 cents at a time. And when you get the top, you can make, a buck. Well, an average out is essentially like 50 cents on it, but then the last you're getting out for $1. That's gonna work. However, let's look at what volume is telling you here. Gradually moving up, linear, still linear, decent volume size spike, then the parabolic move. I don't need to short this until it goes parabolic. There's no need for that first trade. Even the second one, okay. But the thing that stands out is sometimes you just got to be willing to miss the move to get the move, if that makes any sense. That last big volume spike corresponded with an even dollar break that had already held once, and then an instant failure back through the price. And that is like the granddaddy of reversal style setups. That's the one that you really want there, when it fails a break. And that's what I should have had. And that's what, now that I look over and look at TKT, I'll show you another example of it right here. It's like, okay, get in, get out, but neither one of those, you're getting a volume. Now there's a big volume spike. I don't mind that one, but it doesn't fail back in. Now what I need to see is probably it actually put in one of those capitulation reversals. We tried the levels we like on the higher time frame, and those didn't work. So the next thing should be, okay, well, actually allow it to fail at a high and just pick its own spot. Is this going to be 350, which just broke? And then you're going to put the wick. Well, it needs to hold below 350 for a tad, and then you'll be able to see that as true. So it's more about just being a little bit more patient and not over trading. So you can end up green on some of these because you do end up catching the move, but it doesn't always have to take 5 or 6 tries at it. It can mean 3. I usually say if I've done it more than 3, it tends to mean that something's gone wrong if you're trying one of those more than 3 times. But we'll see what happens here. Looks like 350 could be a bit of a fail break on TKT, but I wanted to show you guys on greenage how it eventually worked. But you don't want to have to try it a million times on the way up. Like I could have taken this off $3. That's what I did in Greenwich, but no, I stayed away from that. Actually should have been a long.
I'm getting ready, so I'll do frustrating stocks in a minute because I have a lot of them. But I'm going to get ready to go long Chevron. If we break this 1640, then giddy up to 17, and then we'll see. The high of the day was 1670, so obviously if we get a 1640 take, our first out will probably be 1670. Honestly, that's going to be my first. And then if it comes back down, I'm going to try to go 1-to-1 on the first bit. I mean, if it goes parabolic after that, I mean, we could see that it definitely has opportunities to do said. I don't know if it'll happen today or not. You know, why wouldn't it do? Why today? Well, there's still, it's only 245. It's not the end of the world. Okay, so we will look to take that long through 1640. And then what I was going to say was just do a 1-to-1. So if it comes back down through 16, then we'll get out in case we throw to the guest by the time, you know, that does pop in. So you know what my long Chevron trade is going to be. Here it comes right now. Looks like we're going to take this high out. There's 1630 right now. We're going to push the long as soon as it takes it. There we are. And we are now long on long Chevron. I said our first piece, and I don't know where it's going to go. My first piece out will be in those 60s, 70s. So let's see if long Chevron can go up there. And again, it's just, we didn't trade it yet today. It's trying to break out. We have the long now. Unfortunately, it ramped up to 38, so we got out at 38. The break was 34, but let's go. Let's cheer on long Chevron. And it's just going to be, again, 1-to-1. If it breaks back down through 16, we're going to be out. Otherwise, it's going to be that one. All right, so frustration stocks. It would just be my short that I didn't reverse short in Alibaba. Still made money on Alibaba, so I'm not as frustrated with it. Really, the frustration for me comes with AMC, and that is like, we had a lot of good longs here, and we could have got them out, and we did. We did wind up scalping out, but then look, I did the typical stuff that I do all the time, and that is like trying to find longs where they don't really exist, right? We talked about maybe waiting for 22 bucks to come in. We should have done that, and we didn't. So what I did was spit money away. Boom, right there. Boom, right there at 23.20 again. In again here and out. These outs don't look like that much, but when you zoom in a little bit, you know, they're all hits. These are all hits. Like long in here, out, 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 that's fine. Then out the big, not a big part, but some of it there for a loss. And then long again, averaged in and out, you know, out, out, out. So it's just pretty brutal there in the morning. We got some good takes, and it could have been a lot worse. There's no doubt about that. We could have got absolutely destroyed on this name, and we didn't. So we're pretty happy for that, but at the same time, not a great look here for me on AMC, and that's why it's my frustrating stock of the day.
All right, we are getting close to the final hour of the day as well. We'll bring in Frank Caberna here, Director of Content, Creative, and Product for the Small Exchange. We missed you on Monday, Frank. I have to thank you, first of all, for jumping on. Frank, dealing with COVID this week. I hope you're doing a little bit better anyways.
Yeah, a lot better, my friend. I appreciate your team's flexibility. It did. No one cares about this, but I got hit like right on Sunday night into Monday morning, and I woke up and like feeling awful and rattled off that email to you and your team. And then I checked later on that day when I was starting to feel better, and it said it didn't send. And I was like so scared that I was like, oh man, they tried to throw to me on the show and I wasn't there. That could have been absolutely brutal, but glad you got the message. I'm feeling better. Thanks as always for having me on here with your great audience. Forget about all that stuff. Let's talk turkey here. And by turkey, I mean interest rates. Another leg higher as projections for rate hikes continue to blow out new highs. And you can see here with the S2Y product, if you've heard me jump on here before, you already know this stuff. But if you're new to interest rates and the small exchange, the S2Y product is short-term U.S. Treasury yields. Now, what you're going to get with that is as close a correlation to what the U.S. Federal Reserve or the FOMC is doing to interest rates, as close a correlation as you're going to get. So when they talk about hiking 25 basis points, you're likely going to see this product move higher by a corresponding amount. Now, as we're up to, as we speak, $24 in this product, that's 2.4% here in short-term rates. They've only hiked 0.25% so far. And you can see in the projections, if we move on to this bar chart, that they've added in just the last week 2 more 25 basis point hikes, Brendan, as now they're talking, like you're seeing in the price action on the chart we just saw, they're talking about by the end of this year, maybe getting to a full 2% when we're only at 0.25%. So a lot of people betting on more and more rate hikes in the US interest rate curve. And it's gotten to the point where that short-term part of the curve, Brendan, if we move on to some data from the Federal Reserve, the data is showing you here, if you keep your eyeballs on those two columns, the 2-year and the 10-year, the 2-year being a great gauge of short-term rates, what the Fed is thinking, what they're going to projecting to hike towards in the next year or so, 2 years of action. The 10-year is a benchmark for longer-term rates or medium-term rates. It's what your mortgages, your car loans, a lot of that stuff is modeled off of. Right now, as we speak, one of the first days since going back to 2019, and then before that, going back to 2007, that you're seeing that 2-year rate from the Federal Reserve start to be quoted at a higher rate than the 10-year. Until today, it just got up to about the same amount, now surpassing it. And you're seeing that translate to a yield curve, a current yield curve that is very, very flat. And I love comparing it to a more normal yield curve of a year ago. If we do bring up that yield curve graphic here, you see that yield curve of a year ago, Brendan, upward sloping. 2-year rates, 1-year rate, what have you, should be a little bit lower than 5-year rates, which should be a little bit lower than 10-year rates and 30-year rates and so on. And that's what we normally see, is that curve of a year ago. 9 years out of 10, that's what we're living in. The more duration, the higher the interest rate. Right now, you're seeing flatness, actually inversion between 1 and 2 years out and 5 to 10 years out, saying that we'll give you a higher interest rate for 2 to 5 year debt than you would get for 5 to 10 year debt, usually a sign of some economic turbulence to come. I don't know so much about that as I do about getting on the other side of some of this action, because if we look at the historical difference between 10 and 2-year rates, which right now has gotten down to below zero for the first time since 2019, and then the other times being 2007 and the year 2000, Brendan. If we go to that last chart here, you'll see that we get down to that zero difference or below that inversion very seldom. And when we do, this yield curve tends to rip right back up into a more normal environment where 10-year rates are 1% or 2% or even 3% greater than 2-year rates. Creates a really unique trading opportunity for us here. Yes, we have been inverted in the past, and yes, we've been more inverted than we are currently. Right now, about 5 basis points of inversion. Back in the year 2000, they got to as far as 50 basis points of inversion. But I love that asymmetric reward to risk, where that market, that spread market, Brendan, can get back to 1%, 2%, 3%. And historically, it's only gotten down to 0.5% of inversion if I choose to buy 10-year rates and sell 2-year rates.
Yeah, so it's, a lot of data, obviously, a lot of information to digest there, Frank. We appreciate the visuals to go along with that. What does this mean, though? How can we, as traders, as short-term traders, really jump in and say, okay, what can I do, maybe not today, but next week, the week after kind of thing, for, an opportunity here? Where's the trade?
Yeah, if we throw to my platform here in front of me, I can show you the live ticking products right now. You see that 2-year future trading at about $24. And if you think that 2-year rates have skyrocketed and they're going to continue to go, you can buy that short-term rate product and, sell it out when it gets above 25, which is 2.5%, 26, what have you. Also, though, what I think is a unique opportunity, one that as an interest rate trader for the last 7-8 years, Brendan, I haven't been able to trade an inversion, 1, very often, or 2, very easily. If you think that this inversion is not here to say that we will crack back, you can sell this 2-year that's priced at $24, and you can buy the 10-year against it, which is priced less than 24 bucks at 23 3/4. That's the inversion there, the 10-year product, the 10-year rate trading below the 2-year. You can buy that 10-year, Brendan, sell that 2-year, and trade that inversion coming back to even, and then going potentially into that positive territory that we're normally in. So I know a lot of data to think about, a lot of inversion talk and interest rate talk that people aren't maybe used to hearing. But as it starts to resonate, as it starts to be mulled over in your mind, you do have actionable products that you can go in there and trade more inversion, no inversion, back to normal, or just interest rates moving higher or lower in general.
You mentioned briefly there, Frank, the interest rate hikes to come. I was just checking while you were speaking there. The Fed funds target rate tool now suggesting 71.1% chance of a half a point increase coming up in May, which is up from, I believe it was about 63 or so earlier in the week. So, just emphasizing exactly what you were saying there, that more to come on the upside, definitely.
Yeah, that's exactly. And what's really cool, Brennan, is you look at those projections, you look at those, this is what the Fed, it's shifting from 1 hike to 2 hikes. And it used to be like, man, I wish I could be a part of that market. And it's no coincidence whatsoever that shift today, like you say, going from 60% to 70% chance of a 50 basis point hike at the next FOMC meeting. You've got the 2-year product up about 5 or so basis points. And so that market is directly moving in tandem with those projections. They actually get those projections from a similar product, the Fed funds futures. And so really nice for people to be reading about interest rates, talking inversions, and being able to trade those interest rates directly, because it used to just be, and also have data to support this, how do inversions affect stocks? And it's not a one-for-one relationship like being able to trade the rates themselves, but that could be something that we'll see in the future. The last 3 times we've gone inverted, we have seen a stock market crash within the next year to follow. We'll see if 2022, 2023 is no different for the equity market as well.
And as you were saying there, we're not going to pretend to be those economist people, but, a recession does tend to come along with that. So anyways, Frank Caberna is Director of Content, Product and Creative at the Small Exchange. I'm glad you're doing much better at this point this week, Frank. We appreciate you jumping on and being a trooper with us. Get well, rest up over the weekend. We'll talk again next week.
Thanks, Brendan.
Have a great weekend. There we go, guys. Pretty interesting stuff. I mean, it's been a long time since we can have these types of conversations.
Yeah, and we're definitely glad to have them. And, thank you so much for Frank coming on here, like being an absolute trooper, right? You couldn't tell. I'll say if he didn't say anything, we wouldn't have known, because the brain's certainly still working there, to be sure. And he's 100% right that you have to start thinking about these things, especially if you're thinking for the long term. I understand when you're day trading, maybe you're not always consumed with things like inversion and things like, inflation you are maybe, but things like a recession. But if you are thinking for that longer term or an overall trend in the market, you want to think on that higher time frame a little bit. While that was going on, I'll show you 2 things. I'll start with TKT. We'll do this for greenage, because I guess greenage is given the green today. That's the one that's working out, I think, the best. You're going to see we do get that wick off top on TKT. We get into the short off at 350, start getting out there for 20 cents, and then it stops out at the high. Then some guy shows up on 148 for size. I went in front of him, not really for the fade trade. It was more just shorting in front of that level. And the second he was out, I just took the 5-cent hit. It's still looking like it's running into some trouble, and volume is tapering off there. But obviously you can see it's now a little bit of a different story when you're seeing the sellers start to at least battle with the buyers up there on TKAT. Greenage was on the way to simply falling to the downside, and Greenage is not even a cannabis stock, by the way. But it made another spike up, and I'm on a bunch of my charts, just a heads up, like I'm missing random spots of data. I don't know what's going on this afternoon, but either way, it just got back up to this 12 level. Now remember, it was the 12 failed break where you had the high volume wick top, and it just failed. It just broke this level here, which is like 1180, into that 12 with its biggest volume spike of the afternoon. So I was able to get in, back in, I should say, at 90s when that happened. I've already scalped some to 60. I'll scalp some out to 40. But that kind of rejection holding 11 even, no matter what, I'm covering this thing in front of 11 even. It's very, very strong at that price. So, this is going to be one of those retracements that I don't expect to come all the way back down. It's been very strong on the way up. I'll go back to this 11 into VWAP. Speaking of that, Miss V.
Hey guys, here's a message on the chat from St. Troy. Neil and Sean do so much for us. We are grateful. Guys, if you're also grateful for what Neil and Sean do for us all, for all the Trader TV Live team, please smash the like button. Let's get 1K likes and have a wonderful Friday together, team. Again, I will repeat, I feel like afternoon show, closing show is underrated, and we need much more involvement of you and support. Back to you guys.
Well, thank you. Yeah, hit the like button. If you did it earlier, you might not have done it now. So do it now and support the afternoon show. So we got in and out of Longeveron there, obviously. As we said, we got in, it didn't go up, and then we got out. So that's fine. It wasn't a huge trade. We had hoped that, like I said, it was just going to be a one-to-one. If we got up into the 60s, great. We'd get out of that trade. Not get out. We were going to get out of 20% and then hold the rest to see if it could fly up. But now it's just kind of bouncing. And again, funny thing, like it's using this 1580 pretty well, man, down here. So I'm thinking about a possible long, not short, from 1580, but it's just bouncing around. This is a good opportunity. The last time it hit down, but then you see if you're wrong, you got to be out real quick. And then after that, 1540 coming back in on the downside. So I don't know. I'm going to stay away from Longeveron for now. But again, I don't think it's horrible to try that one more time, but into the close, there's only an hour left, so it's going to need to get some volume going through it. I have shorted. We got out of Facebook as, that's probably going to look bad right now. Yeah, so it's fine. The last long really hasn't been doing anything, so we were able to get out as it approached VWAP, and then it took this down, and we got out at 38. Like our long was 55, so some of our outs were 68, 69s, and then we got out at 40, so like a 15-cent hit, not much. But right now we are trying to work with AMD, as I say that, and it's coming up right now to 50. Looks like it wants to take this 50 out. And again, we're just trying to short names that we know are pretty weak into the market. And I just felt like, this AMD trade should work. It's been weak. It's just at 50 right now. Maybe we got to bump this up to like 64, 65. And let's try that as the market right now. Are we going to be strong into the close? If we are, that's fine. We can get out of the way. That's why we just start shorting now into this name. That was a weak short break right there, so that's nothing. But now we're putting on a bigger position. You can see our average price right now is 107.25, so we're out 15 cents on AMD, which means if we were going to start to do anything on this one, it has to start to come out back down here again. So we'll wait to see if it takes it out. Look, if it wants to take this VWAP out here, and then fine. But we're going to try one more average, and then we'll use that top wick of 75 as our out. But right now, yeah, not looking great for the short now in AMD, but we still have some top cover. So let's see if that does come out here. Again, weaker name, down almost 2% into a market that has a chance to fall off now. I don't know what the early mock imbalances are, but maybe they're a little stronger today. I don't really feel like this market really wants to come down, but we'll try a weaker name with AMD, and here it goes, trying to take out that 107.75. It looks like it's going to do that right now.
And speaking of names trying to take the tops out there, so the last time Gree got up here, went a 12 break to 12.33, failed back down. Now you're going to get another parabolic move that just got to 12.52. So last time I checked, and I'm pretty sure about this, 12.52 is just above 12.50. So I grabbed a short when it failed at that break, at least initially when it came back down. I got 39 here, stop at the high of the day, and then sort of rinse and repeat. For Longeveron, by the way, I want to say this about Longeveron. I know I shorted this one and we stopped out, but I'm not sure the long breakout is dead here. You're getting higher lows. It found support where we would have expected it to, maybe 50 cents lower or so. But the longer it battles this level, I know there's been tons of selling between 16 and 16.5, but at some point, right, like it battles this enough that if it keeps on putting higher lows and can't break VWAP, the only thing left to do is for it to grind up there, because more people get super confident with shorting in front of that seller, whoever is managing to keep this down. So maybe it has to get through 50s, maybe it has to get through 17 even. There was overhead resistance at 1750 way back on the daily chart. I think that's worth looking at for Longeveron, but it is still putting in higher lows. I wouldn't write it off just yet, and I'm not really jumping back into the short on that one.
Yeah, I was looking at those same levels. I don't know. Okay, here we go. AMD right now. We did get our final reload. Let's see where this one wants to go. Again, if these futures crack and want to take out the day's high, then yeah, we are going to be very, very close to just indeed getting out of this name. So this is going to be, again, we're short at 107.40 right now. I was trying to use the high wick there of 107.75 or whatever it was, 80, whatever that number was there, to try to get out. So 107.75 is the past high rate there. We've just ticked up to it again, and these futures aren't stopping. So it looks like we should have stuck with our Facebook long instead of thinking the market was going to go to the downside. And I said this with AMC, that my most frustrating thing was not trading the price action. And you could see here, AMD, or that's Facebook, AMD right now just kind of climbing into these numbers, and it looks like they want to take out the top here. So we're not going to hold this into the close, no way. We'll see if it works to the downside, but right now, let's see if Brendan can get us another name.
Just watch AMC here, guys, catching a bit of volume, apparently getting a Fox business mentioned currently. So just broke back above 23 there on a decent spike for AMC.
What?
No, like the throw, there was like a throw to Brendan.
Oh, I heard it.
Yeah, like that was on me. Like anyone that ever says like, oh man, what are the guys doing switching? That's 100%. I heard it in my ear, and I'm like, I got talking about greenage, and you never want to get away from Brendan. Speaking of greenage, it did flush back in here, but it can't get past 12. There's an iceberg buyer at 12 even, so I ended up getting out 2/3 of it in front of that. I should cancel this, but behind 12 even, because if it breaks 12, I kind of think you're getting back down into the 60s and 70s, so that's where the next bid should be. So I'll go like 11, like the 75 area, I suppose makes some sense. But yeah, a bit of an iceberg at 12 even, but it does put a wick off top there, off the high, so at least that's going to continue to work out for us. This has been the one that, once you actually got that fail break setup, it's worked a couple of times here. And watch out for TKAT. It did not re-enter into this. It's been another parabolic move. At this point, you've broken through just about anything of significance. There's $4 because it's a round number. On the daily chart, I have to zoom in so you can see this a little bit better. On the daily chart,
oh my God,
you do have a little bit of a reason to think it could fade at $4, but I kind of want to see it test into that level instead of standing in front of that trend. I want to see it fail first this time.
I mean, Brendan brought us this like a hell of a long time ago, and we just sat there and didn't even trade it, that TKAT. I mean, I know you're in it, I know, but I'm just saying, like...
Oh, I traded it.
You've traded it, but I just mean, like...
It just didn't go long.
Yeah, it was like, boom. And remember we were talking about OpenSea and everything, and then we go over to it, and I'm like, hello, right there to the upside. So, yeah, that's another name. I'm going to start listening to Brendan a little bit, because that was a nice move there all the way to the upside. I don't think anybody, you nor Brendan, I don't think we're long that name. But, wow, what a great move up for TK. Yeah, remember it was 30%? Wow. Now 70+% on TKAT. The Longeveron trade, that's not doing anything. So a lot of attention. You got to look at the right names. We talk about that all the time. Right names, right time, right spot. That's that. Let's just check in. Okay, so AMD just took out the top there. So it's not weaker. We thought it was going to be weaker today. Not looking that weak at all. But AMD now starting to go back up to the upside. We'll hold a little small piece just in case it does float back down in. But unless this market starts to go down, then, yeah, if it takes out the top, then we'll start to switch over to some longs. Like, that's really the idea for me. We're pretty flat now. We have a small piece of AMD. Let's hold it just in case it does flip and start to come back to the downside right now. But that's AMD right now taking out the top. So we just should have stayed long, man. We were long Facebook. It did, well, I mean, Facebook's not even really working long either. So I don't know. The market right now just can't find its way. But it is telling us that AMD is retracing back up. So let's go over to Micron, a name that was beat down for the last couple days there off that earnings report and beat down even today. This is a 20-minute chart. And right now just taking out some of those bottoms of 75.50. What a strong move here from Micron. Wow. Yeah, that name really made a nice little bottom right here, trying to take out some of these highs again. And if you're going to go long a name, I mean, not the highs of the day, but, this high right there, we just took it out, similar to what AMD just did right now. So, yeah, nice move upside, and you do have some protection here. But again, I don't know if I want to go long these names that have been beat down. So that's really part of the struggle for me right now, trying to figure out the best plan of action. So Micron, I don't know. I'm going to look for some names to go long. Maybe it's just Apple, but now the market, of course, comes back down. So maybe it is AMD off that 108. But do we still want to go short again? I don't know. AMD struggling at that 108. We might try one more time.
There was the break of TKAT. It just took out that 4 level. It got to 403. So, this time I actually wait for it to get above put a breakout on that price and then maybe reject. So instead of shorting like 390 or something, I end up with like 96 with an established break. And if it traps along, it traps along. If it stops me out, it stops me out. But I did want to see it test that level first. There's a battle happening here like you would expect to see. I'm a little bit surprised I'm not in GameStop, not going to lie to you. It's TKT still going. So there it goes, chewing through that $4 level. But to me, that's the way I'd rather be trading it. Like, you take the shot in here, and it might still give a failure. Like, I have a 3-minute chart up, so we can give it some time to have that wick and maybe run on the other side of the trade. And I see someone talking about GameStop. That got to 156. At least I didn't try it like 5 more times in the afternoon show. That's all I could say there, because I guarantee you, if I'd been staring at instead of these things which are moving and actually providing the types of opportunities where I know exactly what I want to do before I do it and we can just execute, like, this would have just been a matter of long in front of 160, scalp it, stop out. Long in front of 155, scalp it, stop out. That would have happened to me at least twice. I'm sure I would have found a third trade in there somewhere, even though there isn't one. But the trend is only to the downside on GameStop. Now you're just shorting so far away from that 200. It's like, oh, unbelievable. 160 on GameStop. Really?
Unbelievable, I know.
I don't even know what to say.
Yeah, I hate everything. So we're going to have to wait. So we, our trade is now coming in for us on AMD. What were we short? 75 there. So we took a 60. That's only 15 cents. Remember, on our loser there, we lost 34 or 5 cents there on that loser. Remember, our average price was 38, and there's the out at 80. Sorry. So 42 cents or so on the out. So we need this name. I mean, I don't even want to look at this until we cross back down below here into the 30s again for AMD, but that may not happen, man. I mean, the market right now tried to go down, which made AMD hit the downside, but again, we are still resisting this move to the downside here. I feel like all these moves down get bought. By this time yesterday, we were short Apple, and it started to go down, and we had the same kind of talk that we thought the market was weak and blah, blah, blah. I don't have the same feels now, but again, AMD has had a rough ride the last couple days, and if we're going to be short anything into the close, I mean, this AMD ride, like, we always talk about a stock, wow, I can't believe that stock just went up, 40% in 5 days or something like that. Well, AMD did the same thing, but almost to the downside here. AMD, look what's happening right there. Okay, we just got into Facebook, which we didn't mean to. So let's get out of the Facebook right now. We do not mean to have this short. It's printing for us, but we can hold on to it. Facebook, when you make keystrokes, and again, it's because this was defending my long, so we're just going to get out of that one now. There's Facebook. What we were doing was getting out just in case it tanked back down. That was an out from some of these longs that we had. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and clean up some of my stop orders here and hope that doesn't happen again. Although here it comes to the downside. That Facebook trade we didn't mean to have. We'll take that 5 pennies or whatever and take some profit on it. But there goes to the downside AMD. Let's see if that can work. We're into the 30s. So we've sort of made back some of that money that we lost on AMD in the first place. Let's put one more bid down here, and then we can hold it. So that was some good outs for us down here. We just took a 50 cent hit on the downside, and now we're in the money 50 cents. So sucks that we got stopped out there. But hey, if we don't get stopped out and this continues to go up, then the losses, as you guys know, just keep piling on. That's one thing that I'm trying to do better. Focus on the right trades and just stop out. If you're wrong, stop yourself out. You can regroup. There's always, I was gonna say tomorrow, in this case there's not, but there's always another trade to come through, right? Happy April Fools. This is not a joke. I am short AMD. Wish I still had more shares.
There's always tomorrow, right? Like that's actually, there's always another trade.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, sometimes in a market that's moving, there's always 5 minutes from now. You know what I mean? Like, especially if you're day trading, when you're active, there's going to be something else. Like, there's always something that's going to be active that's moving. You just had the actual wick off top. Another one here on TKT. I'm using 3-minute charts here. I know a lot of times this would be a 1 minute. I am only using 3-minute charts sort of going forward for some of these. It's just a little bit cleaner, and I find I'm seeing these a little bit better. Well, I use 3-minute charts for myself and then show you guys ones. And I was like, that just seems stupid. But now you have a better consolidation in this 4 range. I've got between 4 and 410, so 404 here. It could be 5s. I guess that would be right in the middle. I'm going to give it not even to the high of the day, because when it wicked up here to 430, really that top was a little bit more like 420. And I kind of feel like it was more like 415 to 420. And I feel like if it gets above that, it's likely to just break that high anyway. So TKAT waited for the $4 level, then waited for the wick off top there in consolidation. If it starts to break down, once we're below $4, start thinking about 375 in front of that, so to 380, and then 350 to 360 feels like the ultimate target. I can't anticipate it's going to go too much further than that. So it's been too strong to bet too far against it. And shout out to the Wise Key. Shout out. Oh, that's horrible. Wise Key was pointing out to us. W Key here.
Right.
And part of the reason I wouldn't have traded it, and don't get me wrong, winning trade. If you took that sympathy play, TKAT running, it's done less than 500,000 shares worth of volume, and there's not a ton of liquidity. And now the volume's starting to pick up, but there wasn't much there. And liquidity is always something that we try to think about. And if it's not doing a few million shares, and it doesn't have a nice tight spread with tons of bids and offers out there, then it's not usually the first thing you want to go to as a day trader. Certainly, there's all kinds of other opportunities, and if it works for you, it works for you. To each their own. But that's the reason why I stayed away from W Key. It just had nothing to do with anything except for that volume. I should go over to Greenidge because Gree did make that breakdown. So there we go. I'll hit this one. I like the disco ball every now and then. But we did get that breakdown through 12, so the iceberg finally got broken. We talked about getting some out in front of 1175. We'll take it out there. I want to give it a chance to get into VWAP, maybe down to that 11 even where it was before, but there's still a ton of volume in this thing and some signs of strength. Like, you are holding the top end of the range here ultimately, and I know it's a wide range, but it's still the top end of the range, which can be a sign of strength. So you go for that home run. When one of these is breaking the bottom, or makes lower highs and consolidates into that wedge, then you'll hold out for the bottom. But it's actually made a higher high here and then higher lows as well. So it's still a bit of an upward trend. You might get a retracement, but not necessarily setting up for the home run, break that level and get back down to $10.
All right, yeah, good talk there. And I mean, that's what we're trying to do, guys. Give you guys some ideas on what we're looking at. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. But if you stick with your plan, that just goes to what I was talking about. You got to trade your plan and don't let it trade you, and then you'll be in charge, and then you'll be able to reload different names. And that's what we did here on AMD, and we're going to do it one more time. It's starting to rip back up here as the futures are coming right back with vengeance here again. They stopped and then came right back up. So let's short again. We have this 108 high for AMD. The shorts have really been cashing in for me on this name, although the last one didn't. So, and Neil, you made the analogy of a pitcher. You still got to throw your best stuff, even if you got lit up on your last, if you're Mariano Rivera, you throw that splitter. Is that right?
Cutter.
I knew
they knew it was coming, and he was still getting
and he's still striking everybody out. Someone could hit a home run on it, fine, but trust me, he's coming right back with that thing. And then there it is. So we're going to re-short upside right now, and there it goes, AMD to the downside. Hopefully, we did not get the reload. We were very close, man. It almost came to that VWAP, which would have reloaded us, but we didn't get it. So that's what that is. Now we'll see about a little bottom take there. That's not even what I want to talk about. I wanted to throw to Netflix and just give a shout out to Brendan. Netflix just made a nice little move down there, and I don't know why. So if Brendan has something on Netflix,
that's a big volume spike.
Yeah, it's a decent volume spike with moves down in. Netflix taking out some of these areas of support that they had earlier. I don't know. It just because there's big volume. Like, I don't know if someone's taking a position in this, or well, it would be the other way, I guess, if it was a position, but a downgrade or something there. They don't normally downgrade in the middle of the day. So I'm wondering if there's maybe been a hack or something about that. I don't know. But that's why we've got Brendan. What up, bud?
The Information, guys, which is a website reporting that the company is warning employees that they may need to be more careful about spending going forward and hiring. So maybe some cost cutting coming to the company overall as Netflix.
Do you remember the episode I told you I was watching?
Yeah,
The Office?
and that's basically exactly
I'm not
what
even
happened.
making. I was watching the Office is a great show, by the way.
Yep,
and I
best
was
show.
watching the episode where it's like the the board meeting, or the shareholder meeting, where they're like, got to cut costs because we're going bankrupt. And then today you're going to get that out of Netflix?
Wow, Netflix. Netflix is down something like 30 or 40% in the last little while. I think it's the last month or something. Let me just have a quick look here before I start talking more gibberish. First of all, nice little trade on AMD. Yeah, let's go. We'll say, oh, Canada, is everybody here in Canada today? Big news, man. We are in, what was it, pool, is it Group F or something?
I forget
Croatia, Belgium.
That's a good,
Morocco, Canada. That's what it is. So I think it's those 4 teams, and I guess what? The number 1 team comes out, and then I think you wild card it out for the other ones. Again, I'll have to, it's been a bit since we've looked at that. So yeah, shout out
not usually in it.
To Canadian Nation there. Amazing. And I think, remember Costa Rica made it to the semis, I think, a couple World Cups ago, coming out of CONCACAF, and no one expected that. So we hope for very similar results in this World Cup. So shout out to everybody. I don't know what bracket the U.S. is in or what group they're in, but they made it as well. So congratulations to everybody on that side. And yeah, Canada had a couple advantages there because we played a few games in like minus 20 degrees, which was...
bucket up.
But it goes both ways.
It was freezing.
It goes both ways.
I wouldn't have been outside.
I remember in Edmonton, they did a game in Edmonton and Commonwealth Stadium there. And I believe it was honestly like minus 20-something and snowstorm. And I think the Mexicans came off the plane and then just like ran. There was like a video, like they ran into their hotel room.
It's a scene out of Cool Runnings, man.
Exactly. And then they had to play the next day or something. So definite some advantages there that we will not have in Qatar. But anyways, thank you so much to listen to that little rant.
It'll be warm there.
But there we go. Yeah, we'll go bang because we believed in AMD and in your face AMD. I shouldn't say that as a shareholder, and I know a lot of us probably losing money holding on to AMD. But hey, man, they got downgraded a couple days ago. It's been a real like fight for the long, and there it is. I'm just peed off, quite frankly, that we got stopped out right there. But again, it was the high of the day, or not the high of the day, but the high of these moves, and we got stopped out. I'm going to do that, like Neil says, 10 times out of 10. We're going to try to follow our rules, get stopped out. But then when you see that wick off top, like, this is the thing for me, for you guys. Like, if you see these kind of wick off tops like that's to me is that someone, they bought it just like me. So someone's probably short there. They market it out or not, or they're trying to get it to go. It doesn't. And then that's when I re-engaged the short there. It took me until 75 to realize that. And then it comes all the way to the downside, and there's a $1 win. So again, it was 38 cents worth of a hit. We started collecting profits at that 30-cent mark, and now we're cashing in on this move as it starts to go to the downside. So that's a win for us, or for me anyways, on the downside. As I said, I wasn't feeling the market being weak, but it is. It's starting to get downside again. That was strange. The move happening a little bit late. Are we going to have one of those monster imbalance days again? Possibly we are. So let's wait to see here where we go. But again, when we get that kind of a number, I know Pratt is there looking, and I know Brendan looks at Financial Juice as well. So we'll get that number for you when it comes out, but the imbalance is dropping in 30.
I'm going to try all new ones today. What's this one? Oh, no, not that one.
What, pig one?
Oh, whatever. The whole thing is pigs get slaughtered, so take your profits. I forgot that was a little bit crazy, but TKT rolls over. Remember when I showed you that wick high up to 430? And this is the benefit of watching the level too, is that when it made that wick high, I told you guys I'm not going to put the stop at the high of the day. The stop's going to be at 20 because when it made that move, truly liquidity, the real liquidity top was kind of 20 on that level. And if you saw the level too, you'd be able to see that in real time. That's why I hollered it out, that's where the stop would be, that's where the high. And then it rejected a second time. Now it's falling down. So I guess it needed to test the high again, get to that same area of liquidity and fail, and now you're starting to get a bit of a dump off. But the other thing that happened is GRE went the other way. So always say, take profit. That's why pigs get slaughtered. Take profit, 12s, it was an iceberg. Take profit, 11.75, and now it stops out the high. This is still grinding to the upside and trending up. So when that is the case, if you're counter trend, you can't think it's broken until it's broken. Lower highs, lower lows, that kind of thing, break support. It never broke the support at 11. It never put in the lower low. It actually broke that high of the day. Long Chevron, it's trying to break VWAP, but it still can't do it. Just can't do it. Like, it's somehow managing to hold up. Market's coming down. All these other names are pulling off. And that was a wick off top, and I guess I could have come back into the short For whatever reason, I just like TKAT better. Maybe it's because Longeveron has been stronger for longer. Maybe that's about it. But if it holds VWAP, man, this thing gets above 1650.
Oh no, don't tell me. Okay, good.
Like but it won't completely fall apart. You know what I mean?
You know
Like
what sucks? What, go back to that, because you have that out there at the top. So that's you getting out and me getting in. So look at Neil's chart, right? Okay, now look at mine. There we go.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah, so we both got, so I got out, I got in where Neil got out, and then I got out there. Yeah, so like we both lose on that trade.
Wow.
So yeah, welcome to our show.
That's trading, man.
We really know what we're doing.
That's trading.
Here as
But it tells you that the level is significant, right? Like if that's,
yeah,
it needs to break through that level. that's
it's just one of us was short, one of us was long, and we both. I think you wound up net winning, but I definitely wound up net losing, as I've one in and one out on Longeveron. So, but like we mentioned though, that 1580 I feel like was the breaking spot. We did bring that up, and I just should have pushed the short, but didn't pay for them. That's my rune in me right there. Okay, so before we go on, one more piece out right there. Now we have 10%, maybe a little bit more, 15% left on this trade. We're trying to hold it all the way to the downside. We had 40% when we came down here on this trade. So we're doing better on holding. We talked about that. That was going to be something that we really worked on. AMD continues to make moves, now down in, now taking down those prices. We just got out at 91 and thought we did pretty good. It ripped up to 107.10 and then just came back in. So these futures don't want to give it up. Look, we could reload this if it comes back to 107 flat maybe, and then use this as our out, but I'm happy just holding on to this. I don't want to reload and then lose and then give up. So let's wait to see here. I'm pretty happy holding this short. We did this yesterday with Apple and absolutely lit it up on that number. So we'll see if it's going to come in, but realistically, that Netflix is not. I was thinking about buying Netflix in my own account. I haven't bought this thing. Funny story, I bought it like at $60 and sold it like at $60. Honestly, when it first came out, I remember hearing stories about Netflix. And I remember I was a subscriber to Netflix. I actually got them mailed, same as probably a lot of you guys did too. And then we had something called Redbox, where you could go to like the grocery store or wherever it was, wherever these boxes were, and then like drop them off, and it was like a vending machine, basically. Actually, not basically, I'm pretty sure it was a vending machine.
Yeah,
there, and then we subscribed to Netflix, and there was another one in Canada similar to Netflix. I can't remember what it's called, but we were also part of that as well. And then obviously now my kids are just like, give me the controller, Netflix. And so there's an instant love in my family for Netflix. So, and tonight is movie night. I don't know what we're supposed to watch. There's something on Disney that they wanted to watch.
But there's a new, well, no. There's
something new?
There's a new series. You should,
yeah, we'll watch series all the time.
The one with, whatever, I forget the
probably
name of the
watched
actors.
it already.
It's the dude from Star Wars.
Oh,
he's like a new Marvel character. So.
Oh, Moon Knight.
That's the one.
Moon Knight. Yeah, we might watch that, but we're still not all the way done the Avengers. So like we haven't done the whole Marvel
Size
thing
on
yet.
Apple, according to
okay, so just quickly here, we will go over to Apple, but this is Netflix daily. It's just 460. This is what I was talking about. That's February. We had a 460 print, and now you're down to 370. So you've lost $100 on. So I guess it's only down about 25% since those highs. But if you take like January, but that's earnings. So I mean, sometimes I don't really want to talk too much about that because it's hard to predict it. But you're right back into some of these levels. I feel like Netflix is a buy here because content's going to be king. They keep on winning that. No matter what you think about Apple and all that stuff. Look, Apple had a big, huge thing with Coda there. But, I mean, Coda doesn't move the meter as much as like a Squid Game or something like that would. You watch Coda once and that's that. So
they got Ted Lasso, and that's pretty. Like, what
Ted
else do they have?
And Ted Lasso's been winning. And then they have something called Severance. They have good shows, man. They have the morning show.
I watched one
as well. Yeah, they do have content.
I watched Foundation, and I'm like, I'm probably the only person who watched Foundation on Apple TV.
I know what
that's a sci-fi thing. I got it just for that.
But
show.
Apple TV is like $4.99 a month or something.
Exactly,
isn't it?
And so I got it for one show. Do you think I'm ever getting rid of it? That's how they get you.
That is, yeah.
That's how, honestly, like, this is why you're always buying the stock, because.
But Netflix has the content. I feel like they have like. Bridgerton, I think, is back, season whatever it is. That's going to be huge. Shout out to my wife. I've never even watched a damn episode of that thing. But they had that Inventing Anna, a bunch of stuff that was hot fire, and I just feel like Netflix won't miss. Not only that, like I said, man, they're already. It's like something like 23% of all broadband owners in the U.S. have Netflix subscriptions, something like that. Obviously, that's skewed because you have people like Prad, and not just Prad. I share my Netflix password with my family. It's allowed.
Yeah.
Once
Oh, they're doing that now.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. That's what I'm thinking, and I think that's a catalyst for them. Like my parents. I'm hoping, unless you're not telling me something, can afford a Netflix subscription. They just use mine. So I feel like once that's gone and once there's no loophole, what's is allowed, that they would put up a subscription. So that's what that is. But all right, let's move on. The only thing I have on, which is kind of what I'm just blabbing about here, is AMD, and that's just continuing to work to the downside. So I don't have much to talk about other than my opinion on Netflix.
So just very quickly here, we're getting a question from Samuel who's asking about specifically about EDGE stops, like the stop order that you see on my
Ozark.
It's a day trade the world thing. Can you just DM me if you really have a question about it? Because if I answered it for you, anyone that's not day trade the world is going to be like, what the heck is he talking about? Because it's specific to our platform. So Samuel, just message me. You can also ask
Sam Troy?
I have no idea, but you can also sort of ask your not TSR, but...
Oh, God, it's the thing that I made.
Yeah, I know, I already forget the name.
I don't remember what it is. And I was the guy.
Just DM
Trading
me.
Floor Development.
Trading Floor Development. You can always ask them.
team.
But you can also just...
Sorry about that, guys.
It's pretty simple, and I love that stop order. It's a good one. Longevron ain't dead, baby. It ain't dying just yet. There it is bouncing off of VWAP. So it still has a chance. We only have 30 minutes left, 20 minutes till the imbalances, but it still has a chance to be a late breaker. Now, Pratt hollered out that there was size at 173 on Apple. It's not there anymore, at least from what I can tell, but we'll keep an eye because, let's be real, Apple moved a little bit at the close yesterday. Maybe we will see something at 350. And given the way things traded yesterday, I do want to be in a better position to be focused on some of the market movers and some of the names that could have imbalances. So I'll stick to the ins and outs of like your Grees, Longeverons, and TKATs. And then when we get closer to the close, look for opportunities in some of the bigger names. Brendan.
One I saw moving this morning, just popping back up here, guys, a little bioscience company, DARE. We've talked about this before. DARE taking out day highs here on decent volume spike, up 15%.
DARE. I love someone in the chat just said, surprised Neil is not short GREE. The only stock that I've traded more than GameStop today is Greenidge. Actually, yeah, oh my God, it's entirely true. I actually have twice as many executions on Greenidge, but some of it was fighting it. But I got stopped out at the high, and there's a wick off top again. So that's a wick off top. That's 1250. It's consolidating lower. You're right, I probably should be thinking about it. There's one catch, and it's not really a gigantic one, but see how the spread is opening up a little bit on the stock? And you're seeing right now the entire page is deep prints. Like the only fill that's not a deep print, the dark pool print, was 25 shares on ARCA when the spread opens up at 10 cents. That's not usually the time that you want to jump into a position, you know what I mean? Like I'd rather see it put a wick off top, there'd be some, I don't want to say real trading, but you know what I mean, giving you that sideways action where there's liquidity on both sides. Instead, that just almost feels like a little bit of a trap when I see something like that. So I'll wait for it to make a little bit more sense, see some more, it doesn't matter red or green, I just want to see some actual liquidity that is in the dark. And when that happens and the spread tightens up, I think it'll make more sense. But that is a nice wick off top, certainly on green.
We just got a note from Brendan that Clovis, CLVS, is starting to run right now. And I would say starting to run. This name has just been hot fire this whole afternoon. Well, not this whole afternoon, but since 2:30 we started to break there. So it's been about an hour of just straight hot fire to the upside right now. And not even really too much volume. I mean, the volume somewhat increased, but it's not huge down here. Nice move up for CLVS. So whenever we see something like that, are we approaching key levels? I don't know. There's a dip down, obviously, from yesterday. Big runner yesterday to the upside, hit 270, 280 yesterday, and then came right back into the close as everything collapsed, and they were not immune to that. And now you're going right back upside. So if you are trading Clovis, just watch out right here, man. 250 could be a decent level there if you were looking for a short. And there it is, man, to the moon, but we're going to go the opposite way on this one. AMD right now, guys, crack to the downside. Are you trading AMD too over there? I think Prad's got AMD too. He just said, give me my money. So there it is, a nice little move to the downside as, damn you, damn that one tick right there, because yeah, we'd be doing those backflips for reals if we still had that on. But there it is, a nice move to the downside. There's $1 plus on that take. So again, when we're wrong, this is what I'm trying to do. And it just sucks because I did it over and over and over again on AMC and GME this morning, and it just didn't work out. You know, we found sort of the niche that we like. We like to look at the relative strength and weaknesses, pick the market, then use that spidey sense. And sometimes it's like, you know, this is the thing about Arun is that, and we, you know, we can all talk about this, and he talks about it too. He really just looks at the futures, right? And so if you stay in your lane a lot of the times, you know, that's really the best part about trading. You don't have to look at, oh, I'm going to trade Longeveron because it's moving. I'm going to do this because of that. If you stay with stock that you believe in and that you can trust, then you will wind up putting on more shares. You will put on more risk, and hopefully you'll become a more profitable trader because of that. So here we go to the downside. I still have no idea what the imbalance is. And as I say that, I look over there, and Brendan, I guess this is from Financial Juice, an amazing 88 million to the sell side.
Boom.
When yesterday that number came out, 10 billion.
Literally the biggest one we've ever seen.
So we're 8% of that today.
that's
Coming at the first of the month.
There you go. And to steal a line from Winston Zeddemore in Ghostbusters 2, yep, I missed it. Yeah, agree. I talked myself out of it with the spread and the dark pool prints. And then, of course, there's your little flush right into VWAP. So it did that thing that it did again. So I did miss out on that trade. TKT's starting to go, but you know, obviously at this point, we sort of have our stop out level. I got my bids down 60s and the mid 70s as well. That CLVS people are asking about it. Yeah, 250 does sort of set up. It's a pretty strong move it's putting in, considering what happened yesterday. Remember CLVS at the close, like right when we opened the show, this thing just absolutely fell like a rock. And then picks up that $2 bottom, and it's right back to where we were. So talk about things coming full circle, but this move happened at $2.50. So if you're going to fade a level, it's right in that range. If it breaks out from there, you're probably talking 70 to 75. It's got a pretty stacked level 2. I'm still on greenage here. It's got a pretty stacked level 2. This is a difference in liquidity. And really, look at the size of prints going off compared to the amount of liquidity here. There's tons of it out there, but it's not really printing all of those when it goes through. Probably about like a third to half are actually getting filled. The rest of it's just sort of quote stuffing that's getting pulled. Either way, there's no level that stands out in terms of size. 250 has the same on the offer that 249 does from what I can tell. So you're just looking at yesterday's price to like that 250. And much like everything that's come up here, it hasn't been easy to just jump in front. A lot of times that's taking you out. So I always say have a stop, but it might be one of those that it has to break out before it can come back in. That's what Gree showed you. That's what Longeveron showed me. That's what TKT has showed me. Every single runner this afternoon has not just turned off a level, it's broken that level and then given the short opportunity. So if this does the same thing, that's what I'm going to wait for. I'm sure that simply means it's going to turn right here, right now, and not even break 250.
We have to stick, and we talked about it. Shout out to Playmaker, shout out to Sam Troy, shout out to Mike Murphy, shout out to everybody here on the chat. And again, thank you for joining us. We are now $1.20 in the money on that AMD. But I did want to talk about Blackberry because I just looked over here at the sticky note again, and this was the name that I know neither of us traded this name today, but it did break through 7, and that was the call, man. We were trying to make that call there at $7. Unfortunately, it happened right away in the morning, and you know, we were on BABA and all that, and I should have not took my eye away from Blackberry today. Not a great day, obviously, for them, as they are once again down in the dumpsters here, down to 665. You do have that bottom of 6, so I don't know if that's going to eventually come into play or not. But Blackberry today just getting hit again on that move. So watch out. Coming back in is Blackberry today, back down to the bottom side. The daily just looks like this. They miss. They take out the 50 period. That's never a good sign when you do take out those 50s. And there we go. So I don't expect Blackberry to bounce anything today, but something to look at if it gets back down to $6, possibly next week coming in. I mean, you're only, 10% down from here, and then you're at that $6 mark. So we'll see if Blackberry can do that. And this is why we missed it today. It was right away. It opened up right at 7 and then just went down. It gave you one reload right there to 95.
GameStop's fault
Obviously, we should have done that. And then GameStop is moving?
It's GameStop's fault again.
Yeah, we should have had
What
that.
did we say at the beginning of the week? That things that had the catalyst of earnings for the last, not the week, but I'm talking about like this entire earnings season. If earnings are the catalyst for the move and you have a trade that you like, that's probably going to be the best trade you had that day. Like how many times have we seen it this week? Restoration Hardware had that, Blackberry today, but we're looking at the meme stocks. And it's not that it's bad to look at them. The opportunity is going to be there.
No, it was bad. It was bad.
Okay, fine, it was bad. It was bad.
It was bad.
But in this particular case, like there it is with Blackberry, there it was with Rivian, like, it's just everything. TKAT, we'll do some good ones here. How we have not used this graphic today makes no sense to me because shout out to Austin Matthews becoming the first and only 50-goal scorer this year in the NHL. I think he is, anyways.
I thought you were going to say Maple Leaf history.
No. It's the first time he's done it, and no one else has made it this year. He's an unbelievable talent. We're glad to have him.
I think he's the best Maple Leaf ever.
Wow. Better than Matt's.
Matt's?
I love me. You know why I love Matt's? I was actually at Matt Sundin's game.
I love Matt Sundin.
When he got his 500th goal with the hat trick against Montreal, that was one of the coolest things I've ever seen. You guys with that overhead shot, you really, really love it.
They can just get their jollies on it today.
Okay, have fun with that.
It's over on Monday.
I know what you're doing here, but I'm happy that TKT's coming back in. You can't spoil it with your overhead shot, Lucas.
Shots. Everybody. Lil Jon. Friday.
I know.
A little bit of Friday action right there.
They know it's a thing now, and they're just going to keep doing it. Yeah. There it is.
Wow. No, it's good. You guys, I mean, it's gonna be most entertaining Ty Domi. You know what? So people say, see, this show is hot fire. Yeah, thanks, Sam Troy. We're trying to bring you the heat today, and I feel like, and I just feel because, look, normally I'd be in more trades by now, and I don't feel like I need to push anything here. Like, today's been a good day. I'm pretty exhausted and pretty peed off still, man, over my GameStop and AMC, but whatever. Crying over spilt milk's not going to do anything right now. I'm going to be trading this on Monday. Again, we're down here. We took down levels that we never thought we would see. Like, I didn't think AMC, GME, like, I didn't think GameStop on a day when it was up, 18% on that split talk yesterday. I didn't think that, we would be down that 3% now. That's a complete retracement, man. We started the day when we came in at 195. It's down $40. I mean, that's just a move that I wasn't expecting, and I'm going to lose on that. So that's fine. It's just, I wish we would have had the short. It kept going long. This is not even that bad. It's really that take early, a 182, where we wound up taking a $5 or $6 hit, which was fine. This one was, I'm fine with it. And then just reload the short there. And then just quickly to talk about AMC again here. This was a name that we got out of the way. I just feel like could have made money and didn't, and that always sucks. So I will go into the weekend with a little bit of sour taste in my mouth about AMC. But again, look where it stopped at, man. It stopped at 22. My work was 22. We talked about it. It's on the sticky note about 22, and I just didn't do it. And instead, I focused on, and we made it. I mean, AMD and Facebook have been killers for me today, so I'm really happy with it. And now we only have 9 minutes to go here. Let's see what happens.
Exactly. I'm still going to just ride TKT, but I'm going to show you guys. You talked about it, and from one 500-goal scorer to another, Mullen on the move here as it breaks out through that 280 price level. Everyone in the chat's like, who in the heck, what? Who is Mullen? Joe Mullen, 500-goal scorer. He is, I'm pretty sure anyways. He was good. Joe Mullen?
I don't know. I'm not ringing a bell with 500.
My brother had like a lot of hockey cards, right? So I used to love reading statistics on cards. So I kind of feel like I think I'm right about that. We'll see.
Could be, yeah. I mean,
but Mullen on the
he had a 18-year career.
He played a long time. That's why I know him. And he was also our era, no?
Yeah. Well, yeah. I guess so. Yeah.
Well, I mean, yeah.
The year he started was the year we're born. So.
That's exactly. My brother started collecting cards in the 80s.
Yeah.
So
I got you.
Not that we're old like that, but we are.
We are.
But Mullen is near the high of the day. It is actually moving, but it is still down. Like it did not manage to hold the levels that we liked from before. And I suppose there was a short trade in there. Now looking back at it, the previous bottom that we're along, that 285, that was actually a rollover short, but that was in the pre-market that it gave it to you. By the time you got to the open, you were actually below that 280 price. I think that's why neither one of us was looking at Mullen today. It's not always a trade. And for those saying, is it a short? this late in the session, when it puts that move on, like you were either already, like guys, I saw Mullen because you put it in the chat. Right? Like it's not that I caught it on some kind of an indicator or something. That's why we love the community. But you're either already short off of this high at 290 and trying to get that retracement because this is a 15-cent move. So either you're short at 88, 89, like that's the trade you really want because you want to risk 2 or 3 cents. How much are you really going to make there? You're going to make 5 to 10 cents on the trade. So you're not shorting at 85 to try to get out at 75 to 80. You're trying to short that at 88 or 89. So it's already come down from those levels. That's why you want to catch it fast, set alerts, watch only a few things, stay in your lane, as Sean said, because then you wouldn't have missed out on that Mullen trade. I'm going to stick with TKAT. I want to watch Apple. I want to watch some of the big tech names. It doesn't feel like it's going to be a big imbalance, but we've seen it flip in the past. We've seen it be a surprise in the past as well. So I want to keep the old ear to the ground as we get closer to the end of the day. It's been a crazy one, and you'll get me. If someone says CLVS might halt, I'll look it up. I know it was moving, but I find it pretty unlikely that it would halt because like that 25 break would have to go pretty strong. Sorry, 250 break would have to go pretty strong into 275 for it to have any chance of halting. Kind of slowing up enough, and it's so thick on the bid and ask. Remember, I showed you guys. There's so much liquidity on that stock. It's pretty unlikely that it would actually halt. That's another reason to look at the level 2. It gives you an idea of how hard it is to move very rapidly. So this is a big move on CLVS, but I think it's unlikely it would halt at this point. If it did, it would not open back up until 4 o'clock.
So Chicago, a lot of people thought you meant Chris Mullen, but obviously we're not talking about the NBA. We're talking about hockey.
I know some hockey.
Neil shoots and scores. It's 502 goals. So there you go. He got 502 goals. Joe Mullen of Chicago Blackhawk fame.
My brother had the card.
Right there, 502. Rodney Mullen skateboarder. Okay, well that's going right over my head as well.
Why not?
I know Tony Hawk. Tony Hawk, I think, just broke his leg, by the way, and is recovered. Like some of these athletes are just like insane on their recovery time. Yeah, anyways, I don't know. That might be fake news. I don't know, but I'm pretty sure he did. Okay, so AMD, $1.11 in the money and still making those money moves for us to the downside here for that one. AMC started to move back up through 23, so we can have a quick look at that name. Where is AMC? Here it is. Yeah, nice move back up again, hitting that 50 period and riding it nicely all the way to that upside. I was looking at Netflix and really was debating that short through the 870 mark there on Netflix and didn't do it. It did break. I should have mentioned that because it was just before we went on that little rant there about it. But that was a good move, man. That break of 370 to the downside, we bounced off of it, retraced back up, did not get to the 50 period, which is what we like. Like there wasn't enough juice to even get it going there. Once that took it, then you had that 70 break, and it's clean $2. Well, let's call it $1.50 downside. And it wasn't super clean. It was a clean, yeah, actually it was. It was clean $1.20 to the downside on that break. But again, I don't know what liquidity would have looked like, but it's pretty good right now. About 15 cents spread, worst case. So I would have thought that could have been a good trade. If you think the market can retrace back up here, then yeah, you're probably going to want to look at this move coming back in for Netflix back up to 370. But we do now only have a few more minutes left before these imbalances come out. So that's what we're looking at. And if you guys are interested in imbalances, I got to get rid of ARCA here because we're not looking at that. That's NYSE America. And then we will find out here.
DD.
Again, yeah, DD from this morning, but you're going to see these are all 9:30, so we're going to wait now. At our time here in lovely Toronto, Ontario, Canada, it is 3:46, 35, 36, 37. So just so you're on the same time as us, because I know it's on the bottom right there, but your clock, you might have to refresh, et cetera, to get that going. So that's what we're looking at right now. We will come back to this at 3:50. And if you get an update for us or anything, we check our chat here. Oh, there it is. Early mock. No, we don't have anything yet. So we only had that 88 million. So we'll see if it's going to turn out to be a buy or a sell or what. But what's up?
Forget Arun giving me heck about using alerts. I got the best alert ever. The Playmaker is now going to be my alert on Monday because every day this week, and I said in the chat, if I don't go over Tellurian or at least look at the stock, you don't have to trade it, but at least look at it on Monday morning, it's a mistake because every single day it's been giving you gold. And if it happens, if there's no setup, fine, but at least you looked at it. Today, I managed to miss out on it, and I'm not going to have that happen again. So the Playmaker is going to hold me accountable to make sure that we're watching. It's a Nat Gas play. Is Nat Gas moving? Yes. Is there a reason why it is? Is there a catalyst? Of course there is. I think we all understand that, but that's certainly something that's been fantastic. The volume today, Intel, is actually better than any day this week. So for that to be the one day that we're not trading, it doesn't really make a heck of a lot of sense in either way. Of course, Greenidge, that last trade, this is what it looks like. I love the 15-minute when you're scalping. It looks absolutely ridiculous, but you can definitely see that last wick off top. It's now fallen through 1150 and continues to go down. So it hasn't really broken the trend yet, but it's really starting to give it up. I did not get back into that trade, unfortunately. I'm going to check back in on GameStop because now safely, there's no chance I'll hit a key. That's actually the best long. If 155, oddly enough, ends up being the best long. I wish I could tell you that this one purple here was a sell. It's not. That was actually me covering a long trade flat. I just had to take profits, so it coded as a sell, even though it was covering. But GameStop back up to 164, and with an outside chance, not going to happen, of going green on the session if it gets above 166.6, which I suppose would be something.
I mean, we could get it. I mean, we do have the imbalances coming out in about a minute. So if those come to the buy side, then we could get some action there. I'm just waiting for AMD to do something. I mean, as I look at it, I don't really have an indicator to get out. I mean, we could get out at 107, but like I said, that last piece, we were only holding 20% or so of it to begin with, and we just got it out. So now it's a small little piece left off of that nice little trade there. Got it out. It did go down as low as 106.50, which we should have identified that right there and just got it all out. But hey, it's coming into an interesting spot of the day here where the market's going to go up or down. You know, that's rocket science right there. I believe it probably goes to the upside. We did get, you know, a nice little move now. And again, if you're looking at some of these imbalanced trades, it's kind of like yesterday we just kept on tanking down in, and today it looks like we might go to the upside on this number. So let's wait to see if we take it out here on the NASDAQ. I think you could probably go long. I don't know if it's going to be, you know, the same kind of long as we saw yesterday's short, but we are bouncing up against that 50 period. So we're going to get out at 107.10 here if it breaks on AMD with only 10 seconds to go. So I'm going to put my order out to get out on that break. And if it breaks higher, great. If not, we're going to get out of that one as here it comes right now, 2 and 1. Let's see what's rocking and rolling right now. And there it is, a big move to the upside. So obviously we get out. You can see it's a nice move. Wow. Big time movement upside right there. So we brought those numbers to you. It looks like they're going to be legit. A nice little move to the upside here. What was it? 88 million to buy. There it is. What's up to the Playmaker? As Playmaker was one of those guys that I met there in Miami. He can tell you his profession if he wants, but a shout out to you, Playmaker. It was a great time seeing you there, and we always love to see the fans, and that was a big honor for me. You know why. So shout out to the official Playmaker, although he is a Dallas Cowboy fan, Neil.
Oh, I didn't know that, though.
That's why he has the 88 there.
That makes obvious sense.
That, yeah.
And yeah,
we won't hold that against
What am I even thinking? Of course, Playmaker 88. I'm not going to hold it against you, but you know I'm a Buffalo Bills fan, so that really
well, he's the one telling me that was a catch for Des Bryant
hurts,
and
man.
all this stuff. So what's up?
No, I feel about the Cowboys.
Shout out to Playmaker, good friend of mine, all of ours and the show. So shout out to that. But there it goes, man. There's that big number, man. There's Ford with the number there as well. Big buys. We just kept that up there, so hopefully you guys can have a quick look at this. Ford, there's the buy imbalance. Boom. That came through. Apple buy imbalance. Boom goes Apple on that move as well. So a nice little retracement back to the upside. And look what the futures did, by the way. I said I felt like a long was going to come through. Unfortunately, we didn't punch the long on AMD. Look at oh shoot, we just got into that short on AMD, which we don't necessarily want. Let's get out of this one here real quick. Short on AMD. That was another offer that I left out. Cancel, cancel, cancel. What am I doing? We just took a short there on AMD, which is fine. It's right into those levels. We'll take it. But we do not mean to have this short on. So that's that. If it comes back in, we won't necessarily celebrate it, but we are almost out. I just randomly pushed out there on that. Let's just bid it out now so we don't, you know, act like that was a big win for us. But there it is, right back into those levels. If anything, it's teaching me that, yeah, sometimes the levels do mean something. Right back in, then the short comes back down. What was not a good day is now turning out to be a decent one. So, yeah. Thanks for that shout out, Playmaker, and thanks to everybody. Those are your imbalances brought to you by Day Trade the World.
100%. And there's no need to bring up Scott Norwood in the chat, guys. You know that
Was
already.
that right? Was that wide right or left? I can't remember.
Yeah, it's unnecessary. And you know that the second you talk about the Cowboys, I'm going to think about that because I've been a lifelong Bills fan, and I know you're a fan too, Sean. So.
The best part, yeah, no, I am. The best part about one of those games was, I forget, what was that D lineman? He was like all celebrating, then what was it?
Leon
Lett hit it out of his hands. It wound up not mattering.
Baby.
I think the score was like 45-17 or something.
They got blown out.
That
but
game.
That was one of those moral victories that just. It's a great moment, man. Don Beebe, Steve Tasker, those guys are amazing. It's all about Bills Mafia.
I mean, but what were the Bills supposed to do? Troy Aikman, Michael Irvin, Emmitt Smith. I mean, they ran into
Whoa, man. Jim Kelly, Andre Reed, Thurman Thomas.
No, they got there.
Haley.
But they
Bruce
just ran
Smith.
into.
What are we talking about? They had just as much talent. They had a lot of talent on that
They also
team.
lost 4 in a row.
Hall of Famers galore, and that's the problem. They had Hall of Famers galore.
And they had Bruce Smith.
Bruce Smith's a beast.
I mean, Bruce Smith is a monster.
Those teams were legit, man. James Lofton on some of the early. Anyways,
The thing about the NFL is you don't get many shots, man.
you guys can tell that. Oh yeah, you don't get many shots. You're right, and yeah. But there's one of the names on the imbalances that was interesting because VIR is a big sell imbalance. And the news this week on this stock, outside of they had bad news on like from the FDA on something, but the other news was that they're getting added to the S&P 600. So weird sell imbalance on that one. But I think it's being added next week or in a couple of weeks. So watch out for VIR the day it does get added to the S&P 600, which I think is coming in April.
Yeah, you'll see those things. I'm just going to keep this up for you. Wow, what an acceleration. I'm really glad. And this is why you got to have those outs. Like, we'll try to keep this up, but there's AMD. We love the short. The short was so good until that number came out. Like, this is why it's very, very tough. And thank you. Everyone's loving the chat here, so that's great. We're really happy that you guys have this there. Yeah. Okay, here, this is what you guys can do. Why don't you show that amazing camera shot that you have now, Lucas?
Why?
Because now I can explain to people. No, you see, like, we have all these different, I have different charts up here. I have different level 2s going here, and more things happening, blah, blah, blah. The show chat, our chat. This is the screen that you guys see. There you go. So this is like my e-signal platform. More charting up here. Yeah. Good, yeah, that's good. And there's Lucas in the background doing all this. So that's kind of cool. Yeah, there it is. Yeah,
What's the
up that. There, what is it? Oh, yeah, and this is the calculator we have on board here. So you can see now here, iPad, so you can see sort of everything here in the cockpit.
I've never noticed that before. Why do you need a calculator for? That's like an old school one too.
You know, it was to calculate imbalances, if you know what I'm saying, before.
Okay, no, I made that.
Yeah. So sometimes before, like, I'd calculate like 2 million shares times whatever. You got the paired value before it was in our system. So that's what that was for. But now I don't use it anymore. And there's such a thing as a computer that will make calculations for you, not just calculator. But that's pretty old school, man. Shout out to old school. If I showed this to my kids, they wouldn't know what it is. They would think it was like a mini iPad or something.
True story. When I was like 4 years old, my dad used to just give me a calculator to play with. He's like, "You just play with this thing," which is why I just randomly like numbers. Hey, why not? I don't do that to my daughter because that would be mean. With only 4 minutes to go, wow, it's getting crazy. Guess what? You get a treat. Tony's back today, so I know it's going to be Tony.
Is it the pepperoni man over there?
Tony Pepperoni is going to be on the bell with Miss V today because he is back in the building. He's feeling better. It should be an interesting close. I love the fact that we're screaming. We're going to get green on the NASDAQ here, eh? We're going to get green on the day on the NASDAQ in just a couple of points. Hopefully I didn't just jinx that, but a strong close here on Friday.
I mean, first of all, like, I feel stupid because we thought that imbalance was going to be a strong one. And if you look at it, I mean, heading into 350, we just started ticking up, man. And I mean, if we're going to pay attention to that now, moving into that, if we start to tick up, regardless of what the mock imbalance is, maybe you could predict it. Did we get a final number? I thought Brendan put something there, 3 billion. 3 Bs. So there it goes. The indication was 88 million. It turns out to be 3 billion, which is huge. Wow. Like, we were just talking about how 10 billion yesterday was huge to the sell side. Today we get it the other way around. Just PBCT. Ford made the move right at 350, now came back in, so not doing too much. Intel with a buy. I mean, a lot of the chip names made moves back up. Intel still down 3%, and I believe AMD is still down 3% as well. No, only down 1%, so Intel leading the way to the downside today. Dollarama with new 52-week highs.
Yeah, I have no idea what's going on with the crew, but they're having a lot of fun here. We'll see what's going on, but I have no clue. But the entire crew is having a blast.
I think they were doing something with the pepperoni man.
Were they doing something? We'll see what happens. I have no idea what's going on, but the market Oh, are you kidding me? It was at 0.01. We're about to do it. It's so close, so close. Let's get green. It'll be a fantastic way to end the week. You saw what happened yesterday, and it wasn't a heck of a lot of fun. Trading is always an opportunity, and the shorts were fantastic. Like the short on Apple was great. We love it when the market goes up. And to be able to see us rally into strength like this, like I look at my board, and the last thing I see is some solid greenage to the bottom end. But overall, I just want to see that one number, and it is the NASDAQ. Apple's almost green as well, so that'd be fun to be able to catch right here at the end of the day.
People really like the shot of the studio and everything, and so they like seeing all of that in the background there. So thanks to Lucas and everybody and Mark for hooking that up. Yeah, there it is. So here it comes again. Yeah, there we go. So there's everybody. There's Maggie, Mark. Everybody's just chilling out there as we get ready to rock and roll into the close. So there it is. Thank you, guys. And then, of course, right behind us, if you go to the double shot, there it is. Hey, so is that... Why are there? Those. Where's
Kush?
That's his name, Kush. Yeah, maybe he had some Kush there. He's not in today.
Oh, come on.
Shout out to Kush. But so those monitors
Victor's
should never be
though.
black, and someone's gonna get fired for those black monitors
Kush
in there.
is chill. He just doesn't...
No, not Kush.
Oh, okay.
Other people. No, just kidding.
Right.
No one's gonna get fired. But we definitely never want black monitors. I should have done better to see that before. Okay, with only a minute 20 to go now, we're getting ready to rock and roll. The close should be good. It is going to be the Pepperoni Man. It is going to be Miss V with her fancy, like Miss V has a nice fancy blazer on today, so that's pretty cool.
It's the Arun Capital blazer.
Yes, it is the Arun Capital blazer, sponsored by Arun. So you're going to see that very, very soon.
You know what? This is a good idea.
Shout out to Arun if you're watching.
We should have like NYSE style like Trader TV.
Yeah, we should have
like
Trader TV jackets that we wear when we're on the show. Yeah, for sure. But we will have to get that monitor set up. Is the Pepperoni Man not coming or what?
Tony.
Yeah, maybe he is. Miss V looks confused here, looking for Tony.
That.
I still like Tony Toronto for me personally.
Tony the Tiger is my
the pepperoni
favorite,
thing can't be beat at this point, I feel like. But here we go with only now 30 seconds to go. The merch. What's up, Playmaker? Yeah, grab some merch as well from us. And I'm going to send you something, Playmaker. I told you to send me your address, by the way.
Yeah, buddy.
And we will send something to you, the Playmaker.
Get the camera off
But here we go. With only 10 seconds to go.
Get
here
it
we
to
go.
Tony and V.
Yeah, what are you doing? There it is. We're getting ready to rock and roll there. It is the Pepperoni Man. Not too early, guys. 4, 3, 2, and 1. I know Tony's a little under the weather, but Tony, man, I got to see those dance moves at some point again, because what made Tony famous was those dance moves. So we got to see those real sick dance moves. Here's the Bull again. What's up to Bull? Get me that camera shot again. Watch this, over the back. Oh, there it is. Almost hit that camera.
You should have hit the camera.
With that, I almost tried to.
Good.
Oh,
You
nice
catch that,
Let's
Victor?
throw that back here. I'm going to try to hit the camera one more time without looking. Okay, there it is. Let's see. Oh, was that close? Good catch again. One more time. No, we're not going to do that again. We have more things to do right now. Okay, Brendan, how did we finish up? I see the Bulls came running at the end of the day there. How did we wind up here, Mr. Brendan?
It's not allowed to start a new month negative. Is it something like that? Positive, guys. We got back to green for the S&P. 0.21 there for the S&P, but we're negative for the Dow. And the NASDAQ, we'll call it a coin flip, depending on when you looked at it there. This snapshot still in the red. Bit of a back and forth kind of day, but after the past couple, hey, we'll take it.
After what you saw yesterday, to get back to flat, we'll take it, man. Like, that was a pretty big sell-off. So just finishing the day with the, April Fools, no joke on the market overall. It felt weak, but we got back to green. It was a heck of a lot of fun. As you guys can tell, right? Like, it's cool to be able to have a little more liveliness on the trading floor. That's what we've been used to for 20 years. And it's really just been since we did the show that things changed from actually having bodies out here and having fun.
Yeah, exactly. So, big shout out to everybody who watched the show. I mean, if you hit the like button, that'd be great. Thought we had a great close here. It's April Fool's Day, so happy April Fool's Day to everybody. Hopefully you don't get pranked. Too bad. I'm waiting to see what happens when I get home. That should be really fun. I think the kids are trying to plan something. But yeah, We're super happy. Everything's been good, man. It's been a good week. I want to give a big shout out to Maggie, to Mark, Fahad, Lucas. Everybody's there. I'd give a shout out to Randy, but I really don't think he did anything this week. So no, I don't know. I'm just
I don't think I've seen him this.
No, I don't think so either. And if you did, that's what I mean. And then shout out to Ms. V, of course, and Brendan with some big days. And then, of course, shout out to Trader Brad holding down that midday market movers show. Thank you so much to him. And then thank you to all the traders behind us for all the content that they provide as well. So, hey, have a great weekend. It's movie night in my place. I don't know if you guys are going to be watching anything, but we try to do that, Friday, Saturday night. It's like the only night that we don't have anything going on. So that's Friday, although sometimes it's coding, but not tonight. Brendan, any plans?
Not a lot this weekend, no. That's not exciting.
The renos are completely done?
Yes. Although, I am still waiting.
Thanks for the invite.
Thanks for asking, Sean, because I am still waiting for my oven that I ordered in July of last year.
Right.
So.
And that's when we get invited. Yeah, so that's the thing. He's waiting to invite us over once the oven is
done.
Yeah, you can bake something.
Right, yeah, we'll bring a chicken pot pie.
You know what? When the indicator on when the supply chain issues have cleared up and you should go along everything is when Brendan finally gets the oven. And then just, there it is.
Yeah, exactly. Or when Tony's back. Tony's back in the building, and we saw what happened today. But anyways, let's go. It's 4:03. The trade of the day was GameStop. You can review that, see what's happening on Neil's trades as well. I think we all are very, very similar on that today. But have a fantastic weekend. We're here the same bat time, the same bat YouTube channel, 8:30 Monday. We'll catch you guys then. Ciao.
Bye, guys. Apparently there were delays.